Yes, y'all. Apologies for being late. I had a little bit of an issue here because I was trying to fix this lagging problem. And in doing so, I guess I turned off my mic and my camera, so StreamYard wouldn't let me access it. Let me see if the sound is coming through or not. Drop a one if you can hear my voice if you're out there. It doesn't seem like anyone's here yet. In the meantime, if I can get a one, I'll know what's going on. In the meantime, hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me see. Yeah, you guys should be hearing me. Okay, there goes Pro Black Perspective and Trigger Happy dropping a one. So I appreciate you guys letting me know. I apologize for the tardiness again, but couldn't be avoided. Before I tell you what's coming up in the show tonight, let me thank those of you who come through regularly, whether in the chat or on the panel. It shows that you guys have an interest in the discussions. You find them useful, and I appreciate you guys for it. But let me address some others of you. And I'm not going to put too much energy into it. I'm not going to put too much energy into it, but let me address a few others of you. If you don't like Shoot the Breeze, in the words of Kamala Harris, don't come. Just don't come. If you don't like order and rules and what have you, just don't come around the show, don't come around me, none of it. Notice that we had that issue with Icon Fire a couple weeks ago, and there's this other brother who can be a little bit problematic. Some of you in the Discord probably know what I'm talking about. But if you don't like it, if you don't feel like it, then don't come around. And I'll leave it at that. What we have in store tonight. Tonight, we're going to continue the conversation from last week, understanding the faith of our people in Argentina. We didn't get to this topic last week. We'll continue it. We're going to look at an example of something and try to answer the question, is it MENTACIDE? We're going to try to answer the question, what about the illegal aliens from Europe? See, a lot of times, and I like this topic because a lot of times we hear the focus being on Caribbean and African immigrants and stuff, but what about the European ones, right? We're going to talk about Tim Scott gives an enthusiastic endorsement for his overlord, Donald Trump. We're going to talk about a billionaire businesswoman named Ronda Stryker, who decided to grant $100 million to Spellman University. We'll talk about those things tonight. Hopefully we get through all of those things tonight. What we'll do is we'll start the show officially, and on the other side of the intro, I will drop Shoot the Breeze topic number one, as well as introduce the panelists. Again, sorry for being late, but do stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, y'all. I'm happy to be here. I hope you guys are too. Let's not let the negativity, as I call it, let's not let that bring us down. Let me welcome in some of my I find them to be esteemed gentlemen. Let me welcome them in. Black Steel is here with us this week. How are you?
I'm doing great, Coco. How about yourself?
Good. Thanks for coming through as always. Let's welcome in Oni from the Pro-Black Perspective. How are you, Oni?
I'm cool. Peace. You guys hear me? Yeah? No? Okay.
Yeah,
Wait, can you guys?
We hear you. We also hear your mic rumbling, but yeah, we hear you.
Okay, my fault.
Thanks for coming through it. No, it's all good. Let's welcome in our boy Buana. Buana, how are you this week?
I'm good. Happy to be back. Happy to hear from all the brothers. Only you sound like you're in the bathroom. I don't know what's going on with you. Black Steel, I'm happy you're back, brother.
All right. Happy that all of you guys are here with me tonight. I really do appreciate you guys. Let's get right to it, man. Let me drop Shooter Breeze topic number 1 tonight. Shooter Breeze topic number 1 tonight says, understanding the faith of our people in Argentina. Will this be the same faith of Black America? That is the aggressive, covert assimilation and the erasure of Black people. That's a mouthful of words. Let me tee this up. Let me share it with you guys. This came with a link. So this link takes us to YouTube. We'll watch the video and then we'll discuss.
Until the lions have their own historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. 2 centuries ago, a significant portion of Argentina's population, about 1/3, was of African descent. Over time, this demographic drastically changed, leading to a predominantly European ancestry in the present-day Argentine population. This shift was largely influenced by a deliberate and systematic effort rooted in discriminatory beliefs. As a result, the rich history and contributions of African Argentines have often been overlooked or forgotten in the country's narrative. Today, Argentina is known as one of the most Europeanized countries in South America, a stark contrast to its diverse racial composition 2 centuries ago. In countries like Brazil or Colombia, where there's a significant representation of Afro descendants in national teams. The tango, an iconic and globally recognized dance, is a profound and enduring legacy of African Argentines, deeply ingrained in the cultural identity of Argentina. The African influence in tango is evident in its rhythmic complexity, its emphasis on body isolation, and the intricate, syncopated footwork. These elements reflect the African tradition of dance as a form of storytelling and emotional expression. Over time, tango evolved to incorporate elements of European music and dance, becoming more ballroom-ready. However, its core is deeply rooted in the African Argentine experience. From the 16th to the 19th century, nearly 200,000 Africans were forcibly brought to Argentina and enslaved. Much like the situation in neighboring Brazil, many of these individuals originated from the ancient kingdom of Congo, a Portuguese colony. The horrific practice of enslaving Black people played a significant role in the early economic development of Argentina, particularly in its capital, Buenos Aires, which was then Spanish colony. enslaved Africans were often subjected to grueling labor on the lands owned by Christian priests, where they worked in sugarcane fields and on ranches under extremely harsh conditions. In addition to the physical toll, the enslaved Africans faced a cultural and spiritual erasure. They were frequently forced to interbreed as part of a deliberate effort to increase the enslaved population and thus reduce dependency on imports from Africa. This process was part of a broader attempt to suppress their African heritage. As with the treatment of enslaved people in other parts of the Americas, they were stripped of their languages, names, spiritual practices, and cultural identities. In 1810, Argentina declared its independence from Spain. At that time, official records indicated that nearly 30% of the country's population was of African descent. This community, largely impoverished, disproportionately suffered during outbreaks of cholera and yellow fever, which ravaged the population. Moreover, the Argentine authorities, showing little regard for their lives, frequently sent black soldiers to the most dangerous front lines in wars. This led to a high casualty rate among them. For instance, in the Battle of Saipe in 1815, out of 320 Argentine casualties, including deaths, captures, and injuries, about 1,000 were African. These high mortality rates from disease and war significantly contributed to the decline of the black population in Argentina. Travel accounts from English visitors like Gillespie and Hay in the early 19th century suggest that Europeans were actually a minority at the time, with a majority population of mixed-race individuals, blacks, and Amerindians. Furthermore, the substantial demographic and political presence of the black community in Argentina led to a deliberate effort to diminish their influence. During the political conflict between Federalists and Unitarians, a decision was made to reshape Argentina into a predominantly white country. This decision marked a significant turning point in the nation's demographic history, influencing the racial composition that we see in Argentina today. The political landscape of Argentina in the 19th century was significantly influenced by the contrasting ideologies of the Federalists and the Unitarians. The Federalists believed in distributing power across different regions of the country and garnered substantial support from the black community. In contrast, the Unitarians, who were primarily based in Buenos Aires and comprised mainly of the white elite, sought to centralize power and were openly hostile towards the black population, preferring to distance themselves entirely. Juan Manuel Rosas, a Federalist leader and president of Argentina, granted limited rights and assistance to the African community, primarily to secure their political support. However, these concessions fell short of providing full equality, serving more as a means to retain their votes rather than genuinely improving their social standing, drawing parallels to some modern political strategies. When the Unitarians came to power in 1852, after Rosas's 22-year rule, they brought a shift in the country's racial policies. Influential figures like Sarmiento, Alberti, and Ingenieros subscribed to and furthered contemporary racist theories, which were widespread in the white-dominated global context of that era. They perceived black individuals as subhuman, barbaric, and inferior, while idealizing white people as civilized, superior, and virtuous. This dangerous ideology advocated for the systematic reduction of the black population in Argentina in favor of a predominantly white society, reflecting deeply ingrained racial prejudices of the time. In 1853, Argentine President Domingo Sarmiento enacted a law encouraging white European immigration to the country. By 1950, this policy had led to the arrival of around 7 million Europeans, predominantly from Italy and Spain. This influx, similar in approach to the White Australia policy, significantly diminished the once substantial African minority in Argentina. Affected by prevailing Eurocentric views and a societal narrative that often portrayed them negatively, many in the African Argentine community sought to whiten their future generations. This drive was influenced by various factors, including the desire to escape the stigma attached to their race, the distorted portrayal of African history, and the aspiration to gain the advantages associated with being white in a racially biased society. The decline in the number of black men, largely due to wartime casualties, also led many black women who were predominantly male. The reduction of the African Argentine population was so effective that by the 1895 census, There were comments anticipating the emergence of a beautiful new white race in Argentina. This change was not only due to interracial marriages, but also to a lack of collective awareness and action within the African-Argentine community. Many did not fully grasp the extent of the challenges they faced or form a strong, unified front to protect their interests and ensure their survival. Instead, there was a tendency to focus on immediate pleasures like dancing and entertainment, while their cultural identity gradually diminished. Ultimately, this combination of external pressures and internal dynamics led to the African Argentines being absorbed into the broader population through a process of miscegenation, effectively disappearing as a distinct group. Today, a very small portion of Argentina's population, just 0.5%, identifies as having African ancestry. A significant number of these individuals are recent immigrants or descendants of immigrants from neighboring countries like Brazil and Uruguay. The number of people who can trace their heritage back to the original African population in Argentina is even smaller. As a result of this demographic shift, there's a common perception in Argentina that overlooks the historical presence of Black people and the reality of slavery in the nation's past. This perspective tends to focus on a narrative that emphasizes Argentina's white and European roots, ignoring the significant contributions and existence of the African-descended population. This phenomenon isn't just about the physical decline in the number of people of African descent. It also involves a forgetting or overlooking of their historical role and impact. The contributions and experiences of African Argentines have, to a large extent, been erased from the national consciousness, leading to a skewed understanding of the country's true multicultural and diverse history.
Very interesting. And Oni was correct. See, that's an important thing. Oni said earlier, someone misspelled fate for faith. Last week when we had all of those spirituality prompts, just of the prompt alone, I thought it was another spirituality prompt, and lo and behold, it's not that at all. It's something totally different. So please check those things for me, folks. With that said, Black Steel, what did you make of what you just saw?
So yeah, I was familiar with the Afro-Argentines. One thing about Argentina and Latin America, I've often heard people talk about from Latin America, especially South America, say there's no real race problem in Latin America. We all Argentinians, we're all Colombians. But the reality is that many countries in Latin America have a racial caste system that was similar to what was practiced in North America as well. So with that being said, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, at the end of the Second World War, many former Nazis found safe haven in these countries because they wanted to whiten their population. As far as whether or not this will be the ultimate goal to the erasure of Black people, one thing about Africans, especially in the United States, I don't think that's going to be our ultimate fate. What I think our fate is to be is more so, we're going to continue to be a permanent underclass in America. I don't think the goal is really erasure, because I really believe that white America, they need somebody to look down on. Their entire level of self-esteem requires somebody to be the nigger. You got to have somebody to blame your problems on, or if things aren't going right in your life, we need somebody, and it's not going to be us. So it's got to be them niggers, or it's got to be those Mexicans, or they need somebody. They need somebody to look down on. So I don't think that the extermination of Black people is really their goal. I think they need us, at least from a psychological, if not just somebody to work for them, to do the labor. Even though that labor is being replaced by immigration, I don't think it's at the level that's going to need to ever replace African people. But this situation in Argentina, it was very deliberate. I don't like the narrator where he makes it seem like, oh, the Argentinians were just playing around and dancing and having fun. These people were probably, I'm not familiar with too much of the history, these people were probably just trying to live day by day, trying to survive. They're already oppressed. Their numbers are reduced to a terrible level. And listen to the prompt. I was reading about the war of the Triple Alliance between Argentina and other nations within Latin America. So we see how Black people were put on the front lines to fight intentionally. They were led to be cannon fodder to distract the enemy, and for the narrative to make it seem like, oh, they're just playing around and not realizing their fate. These people were probably just grasping for survival. Also, too, the Afro-Argentinian people, although their numbers are greatly reduced, they're still out there. There's still a few out there who exist in Argentina and who have perhaps maybe proud of their culture. I don't want to completely write these people out of history. One thing about African people is that we are resilient. We are very resilient, and our culture allows us to survive things that have driven other people to extinction. So even though the numbers reduce, I'm aware there still are these people out there. So let's not talk about them as in the past tense. Maybe not as many, but I'm sure they're still there, and they're still a part of our diaspora. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. By the way, let me just shout out folks in the chat real quick. Afro Native World, Trigger Happy 262, Daily Affirmations by Pauline. I think that's everyone who's out there in the chat. KW Don 7. Shout out to all you guys. Let's hear from Buana next. Buana, what's it?
Yeah, the Black Steel is right. Black Steel, when he mentioned the Nazis going into Argentina, that was one of the places, after the World War, that many of the Nazis was hiding, and I think that's where they had that racialized strain from before them coming there, but the famous rat lines that where the Nazis found themselves in South America, a lot of them went to Argentina to hide. So that really kind of promoted that idea of white racial superiority and the cleansing of that area. A lot of Spanish-speaking South American countries and Caribbean countries, by the way, because Dominican Republic was bullied for that as well in terms of the whitening process. They went through. Some of their presidents had issued a campaign of a whitening process in terms of Argentina, I'm thinking, because of what went on there, and Dominican Republic and other Spanish-speaking colonial countries. So I think that is an issue. And the thing is, you could have a whitening campaign, but as long as the Black people that don't buy into that idea. The unfortunate thing is, many of us, whether you want to admit it or not, bought into this idea of white is right, white is better. So let me try to whiten, let me try to tell my children or grandchildren, you need to get a light-skinned man, you need to get a white man. We shouldn't pass along these diseases. Whether these people try to institute a violent policy, don't pass on these mental disorders and diseases within our own people. Because we play kowtow to this nonsensical nonsense as well. We want our families to be strong and survive. And I believe that the Black Argentinians, they do have a voice in the world and they will survive. Unfortunately, that situation has been strained. It's been strained because of these policies. But I would say, any English-speaking Argentinians, since a lot of people in the Western world would be able to carry the message of what's going on in Argentina better, I believe, really than the Spanish-speaking countries, because you can't find these issues in the so-called Spanish-speaking media. You won't find these issues being even talked about, or if they are talked about, very little. So I would say the Black Argentinians maybe could find English-speaking spokesman, a popular spokesman, to make this really a front and center issue. Because they've been being attacked from a very, very long time. Like I say, they had a whitening process in that country, just as in other countries as well. And I think that these kinds of ideas should be addressed because they are a dying population. Well, I don't say a dying population. They are a struggling population. They are a struggling population because of the policies of these characters who went down there and the Spanish elites who exist in these countries. I don't think I just think that the issue should be addressed. It should be addressed. It really should be. But I'll leave it there.
Appreciate that, Buana. Let's welcome in Jose this week. Jose, how are you?
Yo, I'm okay. Not sleeping.
All right. Jose, what say you to the prompt?
Like I said in the comment, the current king is married to the daughter of an very suspicious Argentinian. He was the minister of agriculture in the days. I don't know, was it Pinochet or Allende in Argentina? That and many farmers died, and he was the minister of agriculture. So that's quite suspicious. And just the marriage, just this dude from the Netherlands marrying her, tells me between the lines that she has German blood. Plus, yes, one of the most darkest people that I saw was an Argentinian man, an activist. He really had that blue glow on his forehead, and that's it.
What say you?
Yeah, that was depressing. That was depressing. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear your mic bouncing around too.
I don't know what's with this mic. Am I using the right mic? All right, yeah. So I was saying that's depressing.
I think you're moving it so we can rumble.
You said I'm moving it? All right, hold on a second.
Sounds like you're moving it, so we're hearing the rumble.
All right, man. Hurry up. Only tighten up.
All right. So I'm saying that it's depressing in the sense that they were 30% of the population, and you got to think that when you think about America or you think about England or you think about France, they're not even 15% of the population. I had a question, and somebody said it was a little ignorant, so I don't really know the history. But I had a question about England. England went around the world, had a bunch of enslaved people, yada yada, and obviously some went back to England, right? Maybe for domestic labor or something. But most blacks in England right now seem to have their lineage in what they call the Windrush, But basically, Black Caribbeans, like recent migrants, are like the predominant Black population in England. And so my question was, what happened to the original? What happened to the people back in 1860? What happened to their lineage? And it's the kind of, I don't know, but looking at this Argentina story, it's just another reminder that when you are in another person's country, right? They can control the borders. They can give the orders, They can decide what medical care you get versus what medical care they get. They can decide what to do about disease outbreaks, so on and so forth. They can, mass vaccinate or deny vaccinations, whatever. And you're going to suffer. Now, I agree with Black Steel a bit, kind of, that maybe white folk ain't trying to completely eliminate the Black bloodline, but just like what Buana was saying about let's say mate selection, if Black women are going to be hypergamous, or if Black men are going to be hypergamous, right? Let's say they're trying to marry up, whatever. As the capital is more concentrated in white people, and as Black people, of intelligence, or Black people of means, have to move away from Black spaces, sometimes even for survival, like let's say if you're in a drug area, whatever, right? White people are gradually becoming the choice for them. And as white people become the choice for them, like things are gonna go the other way. You know, things are gonna go the other way, and we're seeing that. We see that with regard to we see that regard to these you know regard to what happened in Argentina, and it's just going to get worse for Black people. And I see it. I see the writing on the wall. You know, we're going to face a time, because I think there's this somebody was like, hey, you know, I think it was Rockefeller or some shit. Somebody has this library, and they were like, you know, the person who made the library, who designed the library, was a Black woman passing as white. And it's like kind of like what Trigger was saying in the chat. There ain't no such thing as a Black person passing as white. You know what I'm saying? like at some point, you're just a white person that you're just a white person. You know what I'm saying? You're just a white person. At some point, you're just a white person. And you know, you look at the lady, she looked like a white woman. Her father, who was allegedly Black, looked like a white man. That on some level, like I could see it, you know. At some level, you're gonna be in these Western countries. You're gonna be in, you know, Europe. You're gonna be in, you know, I don't know, China, whatever. You're gonna be in America, and not that China's Western, but you know, you're just gonna be in some country, and somebody's gonna say, "Shh, I'm Black," you know, and it's like, what, you know, and it's a damn Ken doll or some shit. You know what I mean? Like we gotta wake up to the reality. That's why, for me personally, going to Africa. You know, like that's where, and I'm going to try to spread my seed in Africa. That's one of my goals. That's it.
I want to answer. I want to answer one of Oni's questions, because Oni asked an important question. Oni said, "Where are the Black people who was there before Windrush in the UK?" And I could answer that question. There is a place in the UK called Liverpool, England. Liverpool was really one of the central docking points for when the slaves came to the UK. They came through Liverpool. So what happens if you look at the Liverpool population, you would see a lot of white people who you would consider to be white people with big asses and thick lips. They have integrated so much where it you wouldn't be able to tell, like you say, you know, you wouldn't be able to tell that fundamentally that person may have a great granddad who actually is an African person, because but they have big lips, and big asses. Where did that come from? Where did that come from?
Stop exciting Black Steel.
Okay, another thing too is with what you say genetically. What happens is the white girl would have a relationship with a so-called white man, and then out comes a Black or brown baby. Where did that come from? Genes and DNA is a very interesting thing, you know, because genes sometimes go back. They go back. So you don't. You say it. Well, this woman ain't cheat on me. This woman had a relationship with me. She married me. We've been in a relationship. Where did this brown baby come from? It's because they had an ancestor who came from Africa. Yeah, and he just jumps out. And because the woman would have assimilated in the UK, you wouldn't be able to see that by looking at her physical features. But genes and genetics go back. That's the issue. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. So what you said is true. You won't be able to tell physically, but like I said, the genes is going to tell the truth on everyone at the end of the day. Yeah, genes is going to tell the truth. You know, but that's where they went to the Oni. Just look at the population of Liverpool. They even have a different accent than the regular English person. And the English have understood that they have a different accent because these people are not authentically English. Many of these people, Liverpool was really a slave stopping port. Yeah, so a bunch of Black people populated that area, but because like miscegenation and intermixing and interbreeding or whatever over the centuries, that's what's happened to that population. But I just really wanted to answer that question. That was a very interesting question, but I just wanted to answer that.
Appreciate it. So you said Liverpool got the thick snowbuddies. Yo, so many people want to go, man.
I think Dr. Umar is in Liverpool right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn.
Only gave a solution. I'd like to discuss, see if there's other solutions people have, because like some of you said, if we're not careful, we will be completely subsumed. We'll be like Liverpool, I guess, right? Besides going to the continent, and of course, I'm not against that at all. In the immediate where we are, what do we do? How do we promote Blackness in terms of fostering relationships and producing more and more Black folks? Anyone can answer.
Well, I did want to say something about, kind of related to one of the things that we have to notice, right, is that a lot of these populations, like bloodline, is going to assimilate, right? There's three possibilities. You're either going to assimilate, you're going to be separated, be segregated, or you're going to be dominated, or they're going to dominate. Your people are going to dominate, right? The only thing that really stopped us from, in America, from stopped us from being like absorbed, was the fact that white folk just didn't like us. Well, not that they didn't like us, because they still, bred us. But it's the fact that there was this segregation that we had. But realistically, assimilation is what's going to happen to nearly every bloodline on the planet. They assimilate with the majority, and it's only a matter of, are you where you are the majority? Because so that's why I said, you go to Africa, because like I said, if I had a kid in Nigeria, 5 generations down, my kid's Nigerian. You know what I mean? My kid's going to reflect the dominant population in Nigeria. Have a kid in Kenya, 5 generations down, is going to reflect, unless there's some sort of segregation in place, unless there's some sort of systematic exclusion. But in America, that systematic exclusion is gone, right? It's not gone, but it's going, And so, yeah, in America, you could possibly, in fact, even these white folk used to say it all the time. By 2050, this is what the average person gonna look like. And I mean, they do these estimates for the whole planet, but then they also say for America, it's gonna look different. But realistically, it's very possible that a lot of bloodlines of Black folk are going to be white. And I mean, and we already see this in the radicals, like I remember vaguely. Well, I don't know what happened, because again, it was like 20 years ago or 10 years ago. But I remember they showed us Khalid Muhammad's son and who he was dating, or where his mind was at. They showed Farrakhan's son or daughter and how they was messing with some white people, that kind of stuff. A lot of times, generation after generation, especially if people are, of the hypergamous mindset, which, is not the worst mindset on the planet. But when you have that mindset and you're a minority, right? You're going like generation after generation, you're going to be assimilated. If you're really trying to excel in America or in American spaces, you're going to be assimilated. Now, if you're not trying to excel, if you're just going to be in the lower class and you're doomed to that, maybe you won't. Like, maybe you'll stick to other people in that circumstance, and as long as white folk don't wipe you out, you could keep the bloodline pure. But if you have some sort of ambition, like, you want to be a judge or whatever, and when I say judge, Supreme Court justices, most of them, in fact, all of the Black Supreme Court justices, as far as I remember, well, I guess it was like 3, right? But 2 out of 3 that I know of, they're with white women, and they're with white people. That's what it is. It's going to be like that for a long time, and we just have to see the writing on the wall. As far as alternative solutions, I mean, like I said, you can, try to, you can yourself mess with a Black person, and then encourage your children to mess with Black people. But like I said, if Khalid Muhammad couldn't do it, if Farrakhan couldn't do it, if, you know what I'm saying? If these people couldn't do it, it might be pretty difficult. And unfortunately, it's not like the best thing I would say is to just go where you're the majority, or go live somewhere where Black folk are the majority for now.
Well stated.
Yeah,
Does everyone else agree or disagree? Go ahead.
No, I agree with that. And to add to that, you see, anomalies that occur. You see, look at the NBA. Only was mentioned in the assimilation process, but you see these light skinned kids in the NBA with 42-inch verticals. The reason for that is their dads married white women, and now they inherited talent, but they lost the skin color. So now you see a person like my guy Thompson. Thompson is a guy. His dad is black. What's his name? Clay Thompson. His dad is black, and his mother is white. So he has the talents of his father, but he has the skin tone and skin complexion of his mother. Give it one more generation, one more white woman, and you will see a guy who look like a white boy, probably with blonde hair, with a 42-inch vertical. Where did that come from? Where did that come from? Just one more generation of it. So you see it. Muhammad Ali is another example. Muhammad Ali has a white or very, very light skinned grandson. So now you see this guy going to the ring, with Muhammad Ali skills, his grandson, and you asking yourself, oh, this guy, he's acting like Muhammad Ali. He has Muhammad Ali speed. He has Muhammad Ali accuracy. But what's going on here? So the assimilation process actually is a real thing, and we're seeing it in real time. Like I say, just look at the NBA. Just look at the NBA, But if you don't want to go through that process, I would think because America is a very multicultural society, you have to go into a culture that's dominated by a certain group of people. So that I would, for that particular point, I would agree with Oni, but I'll leave it there.
Can I say I think that the danger of black people being wiped out by being bred out, I think it's kind of overstated, because let's be honest, black people have been in the Americas for half a millennia at this point, and we're still here. So the idea that we can be, especially at a time where the European is experiencing declining birth rates, if anybody should be concerned about being bred out of existence, it's them, because black people are having plenty of kids. That is not our issue, reproducing. I think we see a few Negroes on TV, in positions of authority with white spouses, and we think that's the majority, and it's really not. The overwhelming population of black people marry within their race and reproduce within their race. Don't let a few black people speak for us when most of us love and desire to reproduce ourselves with each other. I don't think that's really a danger of us being bred out of existence. I don't think that's really
black steel. How is that an overstatement when we are watching something where the black Argentinians was 30% of the population, and through the policy of whitening, now you see there's a scarcity of even black faces in Argentine. Whatever the name of the country is. Argentina. Thank you, Koku. So that possibility exists. We currently, a person who's going back to office, he believes in this whole idea of white identity, white supremacy, whatever you want to call it. So he is going to further this. I mean, he could go as far as instituting policies like that. You say, well, that is incredible. That could never happen. Why not? It's been done before. We're watching a clip where it's been done before. And I understand we now currently have a love or a like for each other. But it's not so far-fetched when you consider this. It's happened before in different nations. And our situation we currently reside in. The self-hatred that exists, the fact that we do kill each other in a very regular basis. Also, even the stop of black immigration into the United States. Just that alone. If 45 million, well, cut to 3 million, stop the 3 black million immigrants from coming in. So now you have 45 million. How do we get rid of 45 million people? What do? You watch commercial after commercial after commercial where you see a black woman with a white man, a black woman with a white man, a white man with a black woman, consistently over and over and over and over again. Why is that an impossibility, brother? Why is that an impossibility? I don't know. For me, nothing is off of the table, And what's been tried before could be tried again. And that possibility exists on the table. I know we've been in the country, like you say, y'all been in the country for 400 years. But 400 years, relatively, in human history, is a very short period of time. Don't you know that Nixon, in the Nixon tapes, there's a documentary out, about Nixon. He said that in the next 500 years, these black people won't even be around. That's what he said in the presidential office, talking to his private secretary. I mean, I don't know, man. I think that possibility is a possibility, and I would never remove that off of the table. But I'll leave it there, and I could be wrong about it, but I don't think it's an impossibility. I don't.
It's not so much impossible. I just think it's improbable. I think that with all of our history here, I mean, again, as you said, anything could happen. It's not, stranger things have happened in the world where African people have ceased to exist. But I also know how resilient we are. I think that, I guess I have more of almost like a revolutionary optimism that Black people will continue to be. Regardless of whatever methods these crackers try. Even the Afro-Argentinians, they're not completely gone. They're not as many as they used to be, but they're still out there. So I want to say that Black people, most of us, will continue to reproduce within our own kind. Again, we're not the ones facing the demographic shift. We're not the ones who are concerned about, becoming a minority. We're already, at least in the United States, at least, globally, we're still a majority. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that African people are not a minority. We actually dominate this globe. Everybody on this planet has some level of melanin, except for the Caucasian. But long story short, I do see it is possible. Anything is impossible, but is it probable? I'm not convinced of that, especially with white people being so concerned about their numbers to where they have to start, baptizing other people in whiteness. Now all of a sudden, certain groups that weren't white before are white now because they got to bolster their numbers. It's a funny thing to see, but yeah, I feel confident that we're not going to breed ourselves out. That's not going. Now, could there be a reduction in our population? Absolutely, but I don't think it would come through being erased in that way. I think it would be more of a violent means to do that, more of a genocidal thing. More something was being done with the Palestinians, I think, is more probable than being bred out of. But that's just my thoughts on that.
One last question I got for you. When you say that as a genocidal thing, does genocide or does a policy of genocide need to be violently done? What I mean by that is
okay. You're right.
All right.
It doesn't. You're right. You're correct.
All right.
Appreciate that, gentlemen. For a long time I was talking about a Pan-African dating show. Someone did that. I saw something on Instagram the other day. It looked like someone has ran with the idea. So that's something to keep an eye on. Is there any other last thoughts for this prompt? If not, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2. First, I shout out Lero in the chat who said, "Family, I ain't tapped in a minute. Peace and love." Thanks for coming through, Lero. Peace and love to you as well. Lero asked a wild question on Twitter the other day, man. God damn, I had to close it after that question, and she knows what it is. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, "Is this MENTACIDE?" You guys should probably know what MENTACIDE is. It's a term produced by Dr. Bobby Wright. Basically, it's a mentality that Black folks are inferior to white folks and only fit basically to be slaves, basically in servitude to white folks. So we'll watch this video. It's just a 2-minute video. I might play it twice. We'll see how detailed it is, and then we'll discuss it.
So yeah. If you're a true Christian and you know the prophetic timeline we are in, this is nothing to rejoice about. Especially if you're a South African. This is devastating, to be honest. this is devastating as a true Christian who is aware of the prophetic timeline we're in, who knows the spiritual implication of what happened. Because one thing I know about South Africans, they're spiritually blind, so they don't even care what this means for us as a nation, according to God, like how God sees us as a nation. They don't care. And I'm going to speak in parables, and this is what I'm going to say. And I pray, may the Lord give you understanding. This is what the Holy Spirit said to me. The same way, or let me say, the minister that took the initiative to take Israel to court. The same thing that happened to David in the book of First Chronicles, when the enemy inspired him to run a census throughout Israel. It's the same thing that happened to that minister. That minister received this thought or this idea from whoever they might have received it from. It looked good because, I mean, now we look like the hero. South Africa looks like the hero. Brave nation. Wow, well done. You are standing up for human rights. Beautiful. But it's not good. This is the spirit of Antichrist, and soon we are obviously moving close towards the reveal of the Antichrist, the man Antichrist. And yeah, South Africa, you just had to put your foot where it doesn't belong. So yeah, we have made the bed. Now it's time to lie in it and face the consequences of what's about to happen, because this definitely does have repercussions. And yeah, this was nothing but a thought and initiative that was inspired by the spirit of Antichrist. And we are about to see the manifestation of it. So yeah, if you don't understand, may the Lord give you understanding. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play that again. I can't stand to hear that. You know, me personally, it's sad to me to think that young people today are still talking about being, you know, waiting for the Antichrist and Christ and all this. It's just a damn shame, personally. But again, should be solving number 2 says, is this MENTACIDE? So what you saw just now, does that classify as MENTACIDE? I'm going to switch things up a little bit because I want to welcome in our boy, Anthony McPhail. Anthony, how are you today?
Hey, how you doing, brother? Yeah,
I'm
peace
good,
to
man.
everybody. Peace to everybody on the panel, man, and in the chat.
What's up, Anthony? What's up, bro?
Yes, sir.
Good
Good
to
to
hear
see
from
you.
you,
Thanks for
Anthony. How
coming.
you doing?
Hey, how you doing, brother? How you doing, man? Yeah.
Anthony, I'm going to come back to you in a second, all right?
Okay.
Because Anthony is going to probably like this one a lot, and there's a reason why. Let's start with Jose. Jose, if you're still up, let me know if you're there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I have a creative approach, right? So,
Okay.
when a priest preaches to the choir, he's kind of a coward, right? They have to bring the message where it is not, and most of the time they are looking for Christians. It's Christians looking for Christians. It's not like they're doing the hard work. So I'm turning it around. She is the type that we have to take and make a family with, to breed out that nonsense. We have to go there where the consciousness is not present to make a difference. We need to, I'm not saying going door to door like Jehovah's Witness, but I'd rather win her than get tired of our people, of our Christians, of our feminists, of our this, that, and the third. I'd rather marry her and impregnate her than stay one more generation in Europe. And I'll pass the mic.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea there. Buana, what say you to that?
Hey, Jose, it easy, man. It easy at all. What I would say is that when you talk about MENTACIDE, I want to know who murdered her brain. I want to know who the culprit is, that who murdered her mind. See, if we talk about homicide, we look for the murderer. So since we look for the murderer and homicide, I want to see who murdered, because MENTACIDE is the murder of somebody's mind. Who murdered her brain to think that because the South African government decided to take up a challenge and put the Israeli government in world court, why does she feel like the hand of God is against their government now? Why does she feel that way? You know, because she's been reading a book that exalts the so-called children of Israel, the Hebrews, or whatever you want to call them, above all other mankind. And she doesn't recognize, if you're looking at a Hebrew book of fairy tales, of course they're going to promote their people over everyone else. Why don't you look at another book? Look at a South African book. I think that we look at several videos of Credo Mutwa. Credo Mutwa is a spiritualist in South Africa. What does he feel about the Israeli children in comparison to the nation of South Africa, and the Zulus in particular? You know, when you're reading books that promote other groups of people, of course you're going to feel like it's an injustice being done when you have a go at them, when you put them in world court. You know, so someone murdered her mind, and I'm asking, who is the murderer? Let's go find him out and put him in court for doing what she's doing. Now, I'm not as extreme because as Jose, because he said, well, man, just impregnate this chick and teach the children better than what she's been taught. I can still have a problem with the woman. So I mean, I can still have her in my life. You know, I can't get rid of her. So I don't know. The thing becomes a very difficult situation because this degree of ignorance is very deep and embedded. Probably she got it from since she was a child. From since she was a child, she's been indoctrinated and conditioned. So there's going to be a difficulty, even if I was to have children with her. And I'm saying that, you know, where you going? You going to church on Sunday? No. We're going to stay here, and it's going to be such a fight in the battle, you know. And I don't know what to do with these kinds of individuals. I really don't. But this is menticide. This is menticide. Her mind has been murdered. Many of our family members and many of people we know are in this condition, unfortunately. But we do our best every Saturday night to appeal to the minds of anyone who would listen. You know, and that's all I could say about that. But I'll let the other brothers go.
Sorry, couldn't find the damn mute button. With that said, Oni, what say you?
Yo, what the like what? I was first impressed. Like I said, man, this woman's a butterface, you know? Like everything looked good, butterface, man. Like, I don't know. I was like, oh, okay, cute girl, okay. Let me not say that. And then nah. Yeah, religion. So the thing people don't realize, because I know this brother on Twitter. Wait, was he on Twitter? I think, yeah. Where he was like, I say something about these people, you know, in Israel. I'm not being anti-Semitic, you know, whatever. There's this term, I think Leonard Jeffries came up with it, or Leonard Jeffries used it. He said the world got too much anti-Kemetism. Okay? Anti-Kemetism, that's the anti-Egyptian type thing, right? And when you really think about that, those people, like the Israeli belief system, was anti-Kemetic. You know, I had I did a show yesterday, last week, and I came across I think it's Menta Ptah, I think, or Menta Hotep. Menta Ptah, I think. The Stella, or Merne Ptah, I think. But the Stella, that's the first known reference to Israel in ancient Egypt, right? The whole Exodus story is a fucking lie. I don't know if people know that, but it's just fabricated. But the first reference to Myrna to Israel is in the Myrna Hetep, the Myrna Ptah stela, and in that stela, this king, right, this Nesut, this pharaoh, is calling white folk. No, he's named Israel among the 9 bows. Okay, I didn't know about the 9 bows, but I put it down in my Discord, and somebody said, "Oh, the 9 bows, the perennial enemies of African people." And it's like, oh wait, hold on a second. Back in Israel, back in Africa, back in ancient Africa, we had 9 bows. We had 9 nations that we were like, and it was rotated lists, but there were 9 nations that were just enemies of the state. That's a policy, and I'm about to put that in my book. That's a policy we underestimate. But what I'm saying is that we had 9 enemies, and the first reference to Israel is that was one of their enemies. This is the ancient tribe. I'm not talking about the people today. Don't get me confused. The ancient tribe of Israel were one of the enemies of ancient Egypt. And the only thing they say is, "Oh, we wiped those motherfuckers out." That's the only thing. That's the first reference to Israel from ancient Egypt. He said, "We wiped those motherfuckers out." Now, when you look at the story, right, you say to yourself, "Who's Ptah?" Right? Who is that? That's Ramses II's son. Okay, Ramses II, right, is who people consider to be the Pharaoh of the Bible. Okay, the Pharaoh of Exodus. Now the thing is this: the man did not die from no river, from no Red Sea collapsing on him. He died at 90 years old. His son died at 80 years old. They died of natural causes. Okay. The whole premise of that book that people call religion, the whole premise of that book is probably to tell their children, don't fuck with Egypt. Or basically, Egypt did us dirty, blah, blah, blah. Egypt, basically, Egypt went over there, kicked their asses, came back and bragged about it, and they decided to write a little story. Oh, no, actually, we got out. We was there. We was teaching them, we was building their stuff. They forced us to build stuff, and then we was, the Pharaoh thought I was his son, Like, nah, that shit ain't happening, you motherfucker. You lying. You lying piece of shit. Now, my thing is this. It was all anti-Kemetism, but fast forward 2,000 years, and Egypt is forgotten. And the people who were one of their perennial enemies, one of their non-bows, are the people that this beautiful woman, right? She's beautiful. She got a nice smile. I don't know what the body looked like, but she got a nice smile. This woman is going to be siding with them, even when they're clearly in the wrong. Even when they're not even related to the original people. Not related to the original people. They just bunch of Europeans, right? And even when they come in and they clearly killing the other people for no damn reason, right? Even, for some bullshit reason. Y'all remember that day? I don't even remember the day. You know what I'm saying? Like they keep saying the day. I remember the day. But even when they're clearly in the wrong, this beautiful black woman in another part of Africa is going to take up for the people for the people pretending to be the people that we're not even supposed to be liking. That's a damn shame. That's all I'm going to say.
Well stated, my friend. Only do me a favor. Drop your Discord link in the chat. I want other people to check out your Discord because your Discord is pretty active. Guys, make sure you sign into Oni's Discord, especially if you're on my own. Make sure to sign into his as well. And also shout out to Forecast who's out there. He says, "What's up?" Shout out to Forecast. Now I'm going to send this to the brother. When I met this brother originally, he was going by the name Bobby E. Wright. So, Anthony, I think this is one of those prompts that you probably would appreciate. What you saw in this video, is this MENTACIDE?
Yeah, it's brainwashing to the max. I think. I mean, it takes me back to like when I was a youngster and going to church, man, and how they used to sing those old songs, "Go down, Moses, go down to Egypt land, tell Pharaoh to let my people go." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just, I mean, that religious indoctrination, man. It's strong. Remember what Dr. Wright said when y'all was doing the reading? He said, if white folks did all this other stuff to us, why they give us such good religion? You know what I'm saying? Why did they give us such good religion? that old time religion. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. It's this brainwashing, man. That's what it is, man. I mean, we all know that, man. And I was listening to what Oni was saying. Yeah, that was Menepatah, the Stele. I was reading. We were discussing that. Me and some more brothers was talking about that. The Stele. But yeah, man.
Everything, man.
Yeah, Menepatah. Yeah, we was talking about it when he was. That was deep too, man. It was deep because it's kind of I say, these people that laid there and rewrote the whole story, man. They done put themselves in another story. You know what I'm saying? But when you go by that Stella and the way he read it, how he said how, these people were never in our country. They was always over here in this other place. You know what I'm saying? That we destroyed them. I mean, it was deep. It was deep. We had to get together and talk about that one, man. But yeah, man, they got us all mixed up with this Christian brainwashing, and I mean Muslim brainwashing too. But yeah, man, it's menticide, man. It really ain't nothing else to say. It's menticide. We know that. We know that, man.
We gotta get you a podcast, man. Yeah, Anthony knows any topic you bring up. This brother can add something to it, man. That's amazing stuff, man. Kudos to you for that, man.
Okay, all right, man. I'll pass the mic, man.
All right. With all of that said, Trigger Happy 262 says Oni is right. The Old Testament is literally Hebrew nationalism. LOL. Real Black Gentleman is out there in the chat. Shout out to him. He says, but what had happened was that's how they tell the stories. But what had happened was, and forecast says Noah was 954 when he died. I mean, come on, man. These people are anyway. Trigger says our people are more related to Kemet than Israel, and I think that's a great little poignant statement. Our people need to they need to put that over the doorway of churches and stuff, man. You more related to Kemet than you are to Israel, man. Let's keep it real, With all of that said, with all that you've heard, let's throw it to Black Steel. Is this menticide, brother?
Well, it's definitely a textbook case of menticide. Just to clarify, Dr. Bob E. Wright calls menticide, which is defined as deliberate and the systemic destruction of a group's minds, with the ultimate objective being the extirpation of that group or the extermination of that group. So this young lady here, she's definitely showing a textbook case because she's referencing South Africa charging the nation of Israel with genocide to the International Court of Justice. Now she's saying this is something to rejoice about because based on her religious beliefs, Israel is God's chosen people. Dr. John Henry Clark said only chosen people chose themselves. But what Trigger was saying about the Bible being Hebrew nationalism is very true. So how is it that we have accepted the ideas of the European to where we put them higher than we put ourselves? So they're God's chosen people, which gives them the right to do basically anything. So this idea that, because we're actually holding them accountable for committing mass murder, makes us Antichrist. And there's one other thing I want to point out. During South African apartheid, Israel was one of the apartheid government's strongest supporters. Israel supplied South Africa with nuclear weapons. They helped them create their state surveillance apparatus. They traded information. They helped try to disrupt the ANC and charge them with terrorism. They traded a lot of information between each other. They even contributed scientists for the South African biological weapons program, which was set up to kill Africans. So they were trying to develop a virus that would kill only Africans. And Israel supplied scientists and materials and money for that goal, with the purpose of using that same technology maybe to kind of play with it a little bit to kill Palestinians. So the racist apartheid government and the Zionist Israeli government have been hand in hand with the oppression of their native populations, be it Palestinian Arabs or South Africans. Knowing this, the fact that she would think that Israel has some standing is by its very definition menticide, because here is a nation that was in collusion with your oppressors to exterminate you, but yet in your mind they're God's chosen people. This is a sad case. I don't know if we can, to Jose's point, I don't know if we can fuck this out of her, man. She might be too far gone. But Yeah, it is definitely a textbook case, and that's why we have the Abrahamic religions in Africa and Islam and everything else. We can't let them get control over the apparatus of the state, because this is what it will produce. Here you have people who are literally being murdered, and yet you side with the murderers because of what was written in some holy book that was given to your oppressor. Now, this poor lady needs help. I'll leave it there. Thank you, Koku.
So you referenced, and thanks for that, Black Sea. You referenced Jose's solution.
Sorry.
But seriously, what is there a solution for this? I'm curious. Anyone can answer.
I would say counter. That's why I think there really is a need for, when we become organized, we have to have a propaganda wing to our struggle. We really need to have, hell, what we're doing right now is a counter to that. What we're doing with the Bitter Message podcast, we need to have our own propaganda, our own intellectuals out here countering this narrative. We really do, and I think that this helps. Every time you hear this shit, fight back, counteract it. Don't just let it slide, because a lot of times we tend to let things slide. We don't want to offend our religious people. Fuck them, offend them. They can't let this type of ignorance continue. I challenge them every time. That to me is the solution. We got to challenge them. We might not get them, but we might get some people who are around who are listening. Say, hey, you know what? That does sound like some bullshit. Why is it that these people? What kind of God plays favorites? That should be in your mind. You made the world, everything in it, but these are your favorites? What kind of ridiculous when you look at it? But when you look at it from have a level of consciousness, you realize, hey, this book was written by them for them. Of course, they're going to be the main characters in their story. Why don't we become the main characters in our own story, and we can go from there? So that's what I would say.
I appreciate that, Black. So we also got our spiritualists have to step it up too. I'll add that. Does anyone else want to add a solution to this phenomenon?
Well, I think it is true that you can breed it out. I'm with this lady, and she had a Muslim background type shit, but I was like, look, I don't remember why, but something got me saying I can't be with no Muslim. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta either give that up, or I just can't. You know what I'm saying? Because I just feel like whatever. And so she's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not even that faithful, really. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even that religious, really. And that's what it is. Like sometimes, you have to, as a man, use the power of use the power of the D, use the D power, and not just D, obviously, but if you're going to be a woman's, if a woman's going to be your partner or whatever, your woman's helpmate or whatever, right? Then you have to start making, like, if you really was messing with a woman like this, you have to start making demands on her, like, hey, look, none of that religious shit. Now, the only trouble is that some women, it's possible that some women are going to be, crazy with it. Like she seems crazy, low key. So if a woman is like low key crazy, like I personally wouldn't really go with it. But the trouble and the reality is that most of Africa is going to be religious. Maybe not to this extreme, maybe to this extreme. I don't even know. But because of that, yeah, you're going to run into this sort of menticide on that level. But so yeah, you have to pretty much, if you're the man, if you're paying the bills, if you're doing this, that, so on and so forth, you have to make demands. And one of them demands have to, should be, we don't do this shit. Like, this is not something that's going to come to our kids, and this is not something that's going to be in our house. You're not going to, you're not going to pray. We're going to be logical. We're going to be rational.
You need to. I'm listening to this conversation, and I'm saying to you, because I know what your interest is. If the sister is a Muslim sister, you need to. I hope that you have a real conversation with her before you engage in anything in regards to marriage or having children. You need to tell that sister, listen, I don't believe in. I'm an atheist almost. I don't believe in these kinds of things. And you need to make these things fundamentally clear to her. Because a woman who prays 5,000 times a day since you was born, I'm gonna tell you, man, you inviting dramas into your life, especially if you decide to have children with her. So you need to make that fundamentally clear. I know you like the sister, but I'm saying you need to make that very fundamentally clear to her before you proceed forward with any kind of seriousness in regards to that relationship. I ain't getting in your
Exactly.
business. I'm just putting that out there for you, brother. You know,
No.
I'll
I mean,
leave
yeah,
it.
you gotta put it out for everybody. That's it, you know, because reality is, like you said, there's some people who are batshit crazy, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, like I said, you know, so I think I wrote this thing the other day, and it goes like something like this, you know, human motivation is usually self-interest, but we're also controlled by, I said, consequences, you know, rewards and punishments. And the reality is this: if you're a man, right, you should use that, you know, that level of control that you could have, or basically that ability to reward and punish, right? And I mean, not punish, you know, whatever, but like, you know, I'm not gonna mess with you if that's the case, right? You should use that control to affect your community or at least your family, you know, and basically, and like at this point, yeah, you know, I'm talking to this lady, but obviously, you know, I could say, look, you know what, nah, I'm done, blocked, you know, like you gotta be willing to step away from a woman and let her know that you're willing to do that. You know what I mean? When she understands that there are consequences, you know, when anybody, because that's the thing that we underestimate. If you're not giving people consequences, right? If you're not giving people consequences, of course they're gonna step all over you. And if you can't give people consequences, of course they're gonna step all over you. You know, speaking of the Israeli thing, I did a little sidebar. The governor of New York just gave the you know, people like Holocaust survivors or something like $144 million, some shit like that, right? What's that got to do with New York? Nobody knows. But the point is, I'm not even sure if they could give consequences, but maybe they could give consequences. I don't know. I don't think they was asking. But the point is, black folk was asking, "Hey, New York, could you give me?" Or, "Hey, California, can you give me?" And so forth. And it was California was like, "I ain't got no damn money." New York was like, "I ain't got no damn money," you know. And it goes back to this brother. I can't remember his name. But he said it's not that the states don't have money. It's that the states don't have money for you. And realistically, it's because you ain't giving nobody no you know, consequences. You make demands, but you don't say or else. You know, if you make a demand and you don't say or else. But my point is, you dated a woman, yeah, you know, like Leto said, you dated a Muslim, yeah, you dated a Muslim, and then you tell her, look, you got to give up on that Islam or else. You know what I mean? You know, and basically, or else we not living together, or else we not, you know, I'm not pursuing you. I'm gonna go to other women. I'm gonna go to other women who can act in the paradigm that I need. You know, and you gotta be able to do that. You know, you gotta be able to, you know, because women, like I said, self-interest. They're looking at you and they're saying, this man could give me a better life, right? Like on a real level, this man could give me a better life. And then you have to, you know, you have to say to them, look, only way I'm giving you this, only way I'm welcoming you in my life, and not these other women who are banging at my door, is if you give up on, because you can't have two men. You can't have Oni and Muhammad. You can't do that. You know, you can only have one man, and that's me. And if that's not enough, then, you know, that's fine. There's plenty of women who want Oni. That's what I have to say. That's what you gotta do.
I know about that last part, but I mean, okay.
Only I had gorilla pimping, but I love to see it.
This guy. Does anyone else have any last thoughts on this part?
Oh yeah, shout out to Black Steel and Anthony McFord. They are low key guys, but when they drop jewels, they drop extremely heavy jewels. When Black Steel mentioned the fact that the Israeli government, I didn't know this by the way, was funding the apartheid regime in South Africa. Why doesn't she know that? Why doesn't she know that as a South African person? You know, so I don't know. She she read the Bible 24 hours a day. Read something else, man. Go read a history book. Go read a history book so you don't sound crazy to the international community who's listening to that nonsense. But I just really wanted to say that them brothers are very low key. But when they contribute by the pounds, man. But I'll just leave it.
In the chat, The Forecast Radio says Israel is importing African slaves right now, but they call them migrant workers. Trigger Happy 262 says we have to have a model to replace, and it's culturally congruent too. I agree with that. Forecast says Matron is right. The easiest way to get to our people is through a spooked out way. The quickest way to our people's mind is with religion, or however she puts it. Trigger Happy 262 says, yeah, Israel has to do that, especially their proximity to Africa. Israel also wants to pursue a greater Israel project and annex more than Palestine. Since there's no other last thoughts, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 tonight. We're making good time tonight. I want to thank everyone who's participated on the panel, everyone who's in the chat, giving us commentary and whatnot. Thank you all for being here. Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 says, what about the illegal aliens from Europe? What about the illegal aliens from Europe? This is taking us to YouTube. You'll watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
There are close to 2 million illegal white immigrants in South Africa. They come from 3 countries, Italy, Portugal, and England.
A sister from South Africa posted a video talking about illegal immigrants from Europe that are in South Africa, straining South African resources. And I thought it was an eye-opening information because even looking at the comment section, you can tell that not a lot of people knew about this. Like she says, there are about 2 million illegal immigrants from Europe living in South Africa, not paying taxes, taking away jobs that could have gone to the local people, and they are getting away with it. Watch this clip, we'll come back and discuss.
There are close to 2 million illegal white immigrants in South Africa. They come from 3 countries, Italy, Portugal, and England. I had the honor the last time I was in SA, which was last month, of meeting some of those illegal white aliens. Okay? This is how they live and move and work in South Africa. 1, they are white, so their skin color protects them very, very much. 2, they're employed by white South Africans in their big companies. Not a single one of them was earning less than 100,000 rand. In fact, they were earning in US dollars because one was telling me she just lost 50,000 US dollars. When they drive, they use their European passport, their European driver's licenses, and cops take that European driver's license without a whimper. When they travel, they use their European passports. They actually use their European passports to get in and out. They say they buy papers from immigration people sometimes. And sometimes they go to Lesotho for a couple of days. Then when they come back, they get their passport stamped. Some of them have been in South Africa as illegal citizens for more than 10 years. And some of them just arrived like 8 months before I met them. I was introduced to them in business. These people are protected, closeted, and loved by the white community of South Africa, and they make sure that they are doing well. They have the top office jobs which pay the most money, more than 100,000 rand a year. We're talking at around 175, 200, 300,000 rand a year. They don't pay taxes to the government of South Africa, but they are living there peaceful and happy and covered by their own. What are you going to do about those? Tell me what you're going to do about those. Your own immigration has the statistics. They literally have the statistics of how many illegal white people live in South Africa. And now I call a couple of them my friends. What are you going to do about those? Now they are straining your big time. What you going to do?
she also mentions that she was able to get this information from the immigration office. And, 2 million is not a small number. And the fact that this white South Africans prefer to have white illegal immigrants to work for them, and they hire them knowing that they can hire a local. It says a lot about how they move. And the government knowing about these people, potentially knowing about these people and not doing enough, is also a red flag, because they're not paying their tax. The average South African is hustling, working hard, and paying their tax, but for some reason, a white illegal European in South Africa is allowed to do whatever they please. Is outrageous, and this information needs more coverage. How come we don't hear about it as much? How come we're not hearing about it from the media? And how come whenever they talk about illegal immigrants, it's always our face, or the Middle Eastern countries that are always plastered? Like, why are we the poster child for illegal immigration when they themselves are doing it in our continent? This needs to be called out.
Very interesting. No one really talks about those immigrants, which is very interesting. Because even here in America, the focus of even Black folks in America is of Black migrants. But no one's talking about all these white folks who be coming from all over Europe and the Middle East and all kind of shit, right? Who's also right, of the areas where you live. No one talks about that, but the focus is on Black folks being immigrants, right? Let me start with Anthony this time. Anthony, what say you to what you just saw? What about the illegal aliens from Europe?
I think this is what I think. This is the position I take on it. I say that this is apartheid. This was apartheid losing the battle but winning the war. You follow me? This was apartheid losing the battle but winning the war. Okay, now I'll break it down what I mean by that. Okay, before apartheid fell, before in the 1990, before apartheid fell, okay, one of the main things that the apartheid system did to our people in South Africa was give them that bullshit educational system. That Bantu education. Because they knew, they were smart. They knew that one day this is gonna work in our favor. Because it's gonna come a time where, okay, we're gonna have to share power with them, or we're gonna have to create some kind of government that look like it's an independent government, look like it's a Black government, but it really ain't gonna be, because we're gonna still control the natural resources, the mental wealth, the economy, and all of that. We're gonna control all of that. But we're gonna have to give them a little fake government, like the ANC, little sham government, which really is not an independent. It's just a figurehead government. Okay, now let's bring it back to the immigrant. Okay, now when a lot of the white people had started leaving South Africa, when the country became, when the ANC came in power, they had a power back. It was a vacuum to fill those positions. Those government positions, those people who ran the economy. They had to fill those spots, because these people was going to Australia, the Cape, going everywhere else, to build a life somewhere else, because they said, well, the Black people go take over, and ain't no telling when they gonna run amok and start killing people. What they did was, now they bringing in people from Europe to fill a lot of those positions. To help with the natural resources, the mineral wealth, and and developing them, and keeping the economy going. So they get these people who are already educated, in those positions, where the indigenous Black people, our African people, they don't have that education because of that Bantu education that they gave them. A lot of them wasn't trained for that to be in those positions, to know about mining and all that thing. Right. They was there for the work. They could go in the mines and do the work. But you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the other things, that it takes, to create to create a finished product, and everything. That's what their education with is. You know, your job is to come in, this man, and go and dig gold or go and dig whatever minerals we got. You know, they wasn't trained for to be in charge of the positions. You know, and like I said, you know, the manufacturing and all that stuff. So now what they're doing, they bringing these Europeans who already have the skills. You know, and the brothers and sisters get mad. They see that now. They seeing now that, you know what, man, that government we got, that was a bullshit government. You know, even though some people was already telling them that. No, it was a bullshit government. You know what I'm saying? That apartheid never lost. They lost the battle. They didn't lose the war. No, they won the war. You know what I'm saying? I'll leave it at that. See what the other brothers think about it.
Well said. In the chat, Lero says South Africa failed decolonization for real. It's what got crackers arrogant enough to rally around some hashtag Cape Independence BS. Should have been nipped that in the bud, as she said to Anthony Facts 100. I appreciate that, Anthony. Let me hear from Jose next. Jose, what say
you? Can you give me 1 second? Is there anyone that can go before me?
Yeah, no problem. I'll come back to you. Oni, what say you?
Yeah, so black immigrant, that's well, here's my thing. If you're a white person in Africa, who said you weren't an illegal immigrant? That's like, how are you a legal immigrant anyway? You know what I mean? Obviously, you know, you would want people to pay taxes and you'd want people to so on and so forth. But that's the glitch that white folk know how to do. Like, white folk, unfortunately, they know the law. You know, like, for instance, I know when I go to Tanzania, I don't have to pay taxes. You know, because I'm paying taxes to America, obviously, right? Not until I become a citizen do I have to like pay low, like, you know, I don't mean I have to pay low, like, you know, taxes on, you know, things I buy and nothing like consumer tax. I mean, I don't have to do income tax, obviously. And I guess that's what they're like, that might be what they're referring to. But also here's another thing too. When I go to Tanzania, they say I cannot get employment. You understand? I can't work a job because I'm on a tourist visa or whatever, right? So basically what it sounds like is that either they found a loophole or, you know, they're going to South Africa getting jobs and not paying taxes to nobody. Right? But again, you know, it goes back to what I said about consequences. You know, if you're not the one doing the consequences, that's your problem. You know, that's your problem. You have to, you know, this is what I tell our people, like, we have to be in the position of consequence. This is why, again, I tell people, look, I tell people, and I'm trying to live it too. You know, I used to just say, go to Africa. I'm trying to live it. You go to Africa, and you start being influential in the positions of power, the positions of consequence. That's it. And I mean, I'm not saying it's easy to become influential or nothing, but what I'm saying on the flip side is, don't be where these white boys at. Because the reality is this: if the white boy is the one who's supposed to prosecute, you know, that's your ass. If the white boy is the one supposed to be enforcing the law, and it's the white boy breaking the law, chances are the white boy is not going to get the same kind of punishment. I tell people, you got to remember, because I remember when Malcolm X's grandson, was it grandson? I think it's grandson. Yeah. Malcolm's grandson was, you know, talking and, you know, saying all the stuff that's happening to him. He's like, look, man, I got arrested for jaywalking. Okay. Malcolm X's grandson got arrested for jaywalking. So basically, these white boys know how to, like the law has a purpose everywhere on the planet, and part of it is to keep the underclass and the overclass. So when they telling these white boys in Italy and England, hey man, I'll hook you up, some good money, right? They're not gonna prosecute these same white boys they said they're gonna hook up. Black people have to get into position to say, oh no, the way things is gonna work now is. You understand? But as long as black people don't get in that position, tough titty. That's it.
Appreciate that. Should be something. Number 3 says, what about the illegal aliens from Europe? Buana, what say you?
I say, first of all, let me say this. Oni is in a position to be a shot caller in Tanzania. And the reason why I said it is, by world standards, if you are making $30,000 USD, you are upper middle class, upper class by world standards. Oni is probably, I don't know if he's making $30,000 a year. I'm saying he probably is. I'm saying that he's probably making more than the president of Tanzania. So he has the ability to be a shot caller as a so-called okay, but he has the ability to be a shot caller in Tanzania because on paper, look it up, he's probably making more money than the on paper, formally, than the president of Tanzania. Now, under the table, that's another matter. So he has the ability to be a short caller. I understand where he's coming from in terms of trying to go to Africa and be a short caller there. But as far as illegal aliens, if I am from buttfuck Mississippi, or if I'm from the ghettos of Europe, whether it's in the UK or France, and I have been given an opportunity to go to an African country and be treated as if I was a god, why wouldn't I take that opportunity? Why wouldn't I take the African people will treat me as if I was a god without education, without really a fundamental background and training in anything. There was a tourist who went to an African country and she was performing surgery on African children with no medical degree. Don't believe me, look it up for yourself. No medical degree. You know, how was she able to do this? Because her skin color gave her the privilege and preference to do so. So if the leaders inside these countries don't want to go through the process of decolonization and training the minds of the African people away from believing that the white man is God on earth, why wouldn't I want to go to an African country and be treated like a god without impunity? I could sleep with the population. I could do as I wish. Why wouldn't I want to go there? If the leaders don't want to put in place programs that steers people away from these things. That's an unfortunate reality, but of course they're going to jump on that. You know, they used to say in our country, in my country, a white man can come here with an empty suitcase with nothing. And by the time he leaves with a suitcase full of money. Because people will just look at the fact that he's a white guy, nice blonde hair with a nice suit and tie on, and give him advantages they wouldn't give the local population, even though I might have more education and training than this person. This is a reality that we have to face and have to really try to battle and fight with on a daily basis. It's unfortunate. When I'm in this country, my name is Buana. You know, this local guy, you know, go, you know, lift this with me, you know. But if I'm away, you know, I'm Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Buana, Mr. this, Mr. that. It's an unfortunate thing. But these people have seized on this reality and they take advantage of it. Take advantage of that reality. So I am not mad when the Europeans decide to take advantage of something that Africans could stop any day if they wish and choose to by properly educating their people. But because a few people benefit off of these ideas, they allow their people to languish in this sort of ignorance that persists in the world today. They shouldn't have to languish in. The white man is not God. The white man is very incapable at certain things, very incapable and incompetent. You'll be surprised. And the black man wouldn't struggle and experience 100 million things. You forsake him to just accept whatever this white guy is saying to you. It's just a nonsensical fantasy. And it's being pulled apart every day. But for our people who choose to ignore these things, they will be continuously taken advantage of. What the white president saying in America, we want immigration from Europe, not any of them shithole countries. But he understands full well, and he does understand this. The people who are doctors and staff, many of the hospitals in America, look where they come from. They come from the shithole countries. They come from India. They come from Africa. They come from these places because they had the wherewithal to engage in the practice, the education, and they did what it takes to reach these certain things and positions. But he don't want to put that out there. He don't put that out there, or he doesn't know any better. Or he doesn't know any better. But illegal immigration is a reality in this country. We say that illegal immigration is a problem coming from the South, from Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, and all them other countries. But we neglect to say that illegal immigration is a problem coming from Canada, coming from America. Don't you know there are people coming to this country every year and they engage in professional practice. My woman was working with a lady from America and she had no teaching certificate at all. And she worked for about a year until they found out her and her husband had no teaching certificate. But she was educating Bahamian children. How is that possible? Nobody saw to check because they had a pass because they could just say, well, it's coming in the mail. It should be in the mail any day. But for me, they would look me up and down and ensure that I am who I say I am. They would call all the universities and make sure the I is tipped and the T's are crossed for a person like myself. It's just a reality exists in the world, and it's an unfortunate reality. It's an unfortunate thing, but I say kudos to them if they choose to take advantage of what's going on in the world, and the black men have decided not to put a stop to it. Because the onus is on us ultimately. But I'll leave it there. I agree
with you, Debwana. It kind of clumps in with what I talked about last week of growing up home and seeing Mormons. Like, who the fuck let y'all in here? And that's on us. That's on someone who looks like me and you, who sounds like me and you. That's on us. Trigger Happy 262 said something I like here. In the chat, he said, this is why business deals and sex tourism is so big, because it's an easy advantage when there's no defense system by the leaders in the minds of the masses. Who's the people letting these folks come in? That story you told just now about the teacher. I remember a similar story like that going on back in the 90s. White face, smile, grin, they slick back their hair. That was a joke we used to have back in the day. They come and slick back their hair, wear a little suit, and they could get anything. They could get the spoils. They get anything they want, and it's a shame. And you're right. It's on us. It's on us. And if we ain't putting up the defense system, that's on us. Thanks, Bonner, for that. Let me go to Jose again. Let me see if Jose is done eating.
Yes. No, I'm not even halfway the pack of cookies, but I'm conscious of the sounds now. We've been. I think I've commented this because this proposal topic is older than a weekend, right? Here in the Netherlands, we've been hearing this. I don't watch TV anymore, for a very long time. But maybe even before internet, we used to hear those type of things, like the number is. I was surprised. 2 million. Oh, still 2 million, and I was like, still 2 million, or is it the constant flow? These people don't respect us. They don't respect our laws. They don't grant us nothing, and they prove it in our countries. Even. So 2 million in 2 million in South Africa. That's how many Europeans and Australian, New Zealand, Canada, South Americans, even. How many illegal Europeans do you guess are in the United States? Must be at least 10 million also.
I say more than that.
Yeah, double.
More than that.
And illegals in Argentina. We touched that country. How many illegal Spaniards are in Argentina, or Germans? I mean, You know what I'm saying? Now, how many illegal Frenchmen are in Senegal? You know, I mean, and everything else is already touched. Our mentality to white folks. How can we stop it? We must go there. Huh? We must go there and marry the problem. We have something to put in them, and they have their lifestyle can affect us. Repatriate, reconnect. There's more work to do on the continent, and in the Caribbean than in Europe and the United States. We heard it all before, and it's for us the black consciousness or Pan Africanism. It's always a debate. So let's go put in some energy and some semen there where it can have an effect still.
Okay.
Maybe I digressed at the end, but I pass the mic.
All right, thank you, Jose. Thanks for that. Jose has a theme tonight, and I think that theme is very interesting. Let's welcome in the brother Kofi this week. Kofi, how have you been?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Just came in and saw the conversation. Glad everyone's doing good. And yeah, I pretty much agree with the that TikTok that you have right there. I'm running into a lot of Republicans, unfortunately, black Republicans, which makes no sense. Pretty much piggybacking on what Donald Trump is saying. But the thing with this whole immigration problem, not saying it's not a problem, but we have to know where the problem stems from. But the problem always in this country is immigration from black and brown people. Canada is there. They have no problem with Canada. They never had an issue with Canada since the formation of the United States. Back in the days, yes, they used to have problems with Canada, but now they don't. Now they found common ground with whiteness, so they're fine. But like I said, there's Europeans that are here, and Jose said the same thing, that are probably here, illegally or overstayed their visas. I saw an article. I don't know how relevant it is, but like 2-3 years ago, they said there's more. When Donald Trump was in office, there were more Canadians that overstayed their visas, and they were going after the Haitians. Right? They're always immigration. When in the United States, when they talk about an immigration problem, they are only talking about black and brown people. See what they did when during the Trump administration, when you had Haitians coming into the southern border and they were whipping them on horseback like they're slaves, like they're overseers. Yes, no one think that's a problem, because it's meant for that. Because immigration reform means how to keep all the black and brown people out and keep all the white people in. So I really have not too much to add right there, but pretty much that's what the sentiment is.
No, thanks for adding that. I do appreciate you coming through. So thanks for that. In the chat, you had some folks who were echoing your sentiments. Laura says it's hella illegal Canadians in the U.S., and they will tell you they are illegal. Trigger 262 Plus says, I'm sure if there were no black people or incoming brown immigrants to America, white folks would build some sort of settler passport like the EU for the whites. He was speaking to Laro, but I think we could all get something from that comment. He said most of what America doesn't want to do is because black people exist. Afro-Native World says, what's up with them Ukrainians? Exactly. With that said, let's hear from Black Steel.
So I'm sorry, the brother before me, Kofi, is it? Kofi? Yeah. So
yes, that's me.
He really touched on a very important point. The United States, just like South Africa, just like Australia, just like Israel, is a settler colony. So it's, of course, unlike those colonies where white people just extracted resources, like India, like Kenya, Canada, white people went to settle and to displace the native population, the indigenous people. So their desire is to reproduce and to build up their numbers so that way they can have a permanent presence in that nation. So that's why there's barbed wire and armed guards at the Mexican border, and you can easily drive over the. In fact, I've been over to the Canadian side of the border on a day trip. Just go over, see the sights, and come on back home. But Mexico, they have barbed wire, and women and children are drowning in the Rio Grande, and other states in the nation are sending armed troops to protect the border from the invasion of the illegal immigrants, the whatever bullshit they're coming up with. So we shouldn't be surprised that white people, Europeans, are illegal immigrants in South Africa and not facing any punishment. Truth be told, these crackers was illegal since they touched down in 1652. They've been illegal since then. They weren't invited. They didn't ask the native people for permission to show up. They just showed up and took over the shit. So they've been illegal. But we can't be surprised when these nations' laws are built to reinforce their whiteness and to allow white Europeans to come in with no issue. For I think it was for almost 100 years in Australia, they had what they call the White Australia policy, where they only accepted immigrants coming in from European nations. Even though, Asians and other people would try to come into Australia, they were explicitly banned from immigration because they wanted Australia to be white. Again, they're a settler colony. The same thing with Israel. A white Jewish person can immigrate to Israel with no problem. Whereas a native Palestinian, once they leave, they can't come back. So the whole idea is a demographic shift to increase the population. Someone mentioned earlier in another prompt about the Dominican Republic under Trujillo. When he was dictator over there, he would bring in Portuguese people to the Dominican Republic to lighten the population because they wanted more white people. So what's happening in South Africa is what was happening then is happening now. That's why they're not going to make us think about it, because they want, even though I think white people make up maybe not even 10% of the population in South Africa, but because of this policy, they want to bring in as many crackers as they can to strengthen their numbers, and they're going to be okay with it. White people are never going to be the face of illegal immigration until we take control of our nations and make them the face of that. I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Quick question. Shout out to Azuliism. He's out there in the chat. He said, I'm imagining Nelson Mandela rises, right? How culpable is Nelson Mandela in what's going on in South Africa today, in you guys' opinion? Anyone can answer.
Oh, man, I don't really want to talk bad about Nelson Mandela because this man spent 27 years in prison. He spent 27 years in prison.
Tell the truth, Black Steel. Tell the truth. Tell the truth, brother. Tell the truth.
Yeah, I got to stand on business, like the kids say. I got to stand on business. I think Nelson Mandela, he kind of took a status of appeasement, right? I don't think if he would have did like the Algerians did, or like I don't want to go as far as what the Haitians did after the Haitian Revolution. I don't know, like he could have went that far, but I think that he almost made an accommodation where he let, they ended apartheid, but they still left the Boers and the Afrikaners in control of the apparatus of the state. I think that is some accommodation that Nelson Mandela made for his freedom for once he became president. I don't know if it was the right thing to do, but this whole rainbow nation, yeah, like Rod Trigger say, yeah, again, I don't want to critique this man. 27 years in prison, a long time. I don't know what I would do in his case, but yeah, I do think he kind of set his nation on this path for where white people could still remain in charge of the resources. I'll leave it there. That's just my thoughts on it. Sorry about that. When we talk about our ancestors and our freedom fighters, I want to be respectful, but I can't lie that, he did kind of let a lot of shit slide when he shouldn't have. He did kind of make way for this rainbow nation, which really in reality is still a white nation in blackface. Let's just keep it a buck.
What is interesting? What is interesting? Because I live with Zimbabweans. I live with them in the UK. What is interesting is the mentality of the Zimbabweans and the mentality of the South Africans. And the leader sets the pace for the mentality of the nation, whether we realize it or not. The leader sets the pace. And that idea of this whole thing of we're gonna be very we're gonna be friendly to the people who have been oppressive towards us. We're gonna try to seek out a solution that is that is friendlier, where all of us could live together under this idea of rainbow nation. And when people talk about not all South Africans now, because you still have the Julius Malema elements, you still have the Winnie Mandela elements that exist in the country, but you have groups of South Africans where, in the face of disrespect, this is their nation. They are the dominant population in the nation. But you see these instances where whites are able to do things that they wouldn't get away with in even European countries. They get away in Africa, in South Africa in particular. And with the Zimbabweans, I'm gonna tell you, they have that Mugabe mentality. It's a little bit different. Certain things different. There's a different ideology going on there. It's interesting, very interesting. They're more accommodationist. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Lero. They're more accommodationist in South Africa. Some South Africans are, but some South Africans are unapologetically, with their stances. I'm gonna tell you. But there are, for the Zimbabwe people, I can tell you, man, they really against that Ian Smith ideology, and they take the position of their forefather, which is Mugabe. I'ma tell you. So if you want to set the pace, the nation, the pace for the nation has been set already. What Mandela did and what Mugabe did, for the right or for the wrong. People could say, well, South Africa is a stabilized economy. South Africa, the black people that are eating, some black people that are eating, they have comfortably moved to the middle class. Some black people have comfortably moved to the middle class. So, all is comfortable. Zimbabweans are trying to break away and come across the border. Therefore, obviously, Mandela had the better solution. However, Mugabe, that ideology, for me personally, even though they are going through a difficult period, they'll eventually come out of that. And they will be a people to be respected. And the white South African boys know when they cross the borders into South Africa, into Zimbabwe, hey, that shit what y'all do that over there, that don't play over here, brother. That don't play over here. And we have went through the process and struggle to attain this level of self-respect in the world. The Cubans I'm gonna give you an example of that. The Cubans are in the Caribbean, but the Cubans are a group of people that are not to be trifled with. Among all these other black nation states that exist in the Caribbean, they are not to be trifled with because of the policies that Castro set in place in educating his people, not leaving them to be stupid in terms of international affairs and world affairs. Also, because of the revolution of what they did, they're not to be trifled with. You have immigration with us, these colonial countries into the Americas. But when the Cubans go in, they scrutinize them very, very carefully because they know Cuba is a population of not necessarily ignorant people, so they scrutinize them very carefully, very carefully. I'll just leave it there. I'm rambling. I'll just leave it there.
Now you guys always say you're rambling, but you guys are dropping some jewels. Anyone else want to comment on?
I want to say one thing before we go. The currency is really whiteness. So this idea of these white people being illegal immigrants, if they were to be found out, if this information was common knowledge, nothing would really happen to them. I doubt they'd even get sent back. But then on the flip side, look at how South Africa treats their black immigrants. Black people who come in from Zimbabwe and Nigeria. There was a rash of violence against these Black people who were illegal immigrants in South Africa and how they were treated. The currency is whiteness. These people are accepted because they're white. Let's not play stupid. We know what it is. We know what it ain't. The reason why these white illegal immigrants are not treated the way Black illegal immigrants, because they're white. Because I'm willing to bet my paycheck these Black people would not beat and kill these white illegals the same way they beat and kill Black illegals.
Sad but true. Sad but true.
All right. If there's no last thoughts there, I'll just read what Trigger Happy 262 Plus said. He said diversity is always a sham in any aspect. On a religious aspect, it's a sham. On an economic and social level, it's a sham. Countries must be defined by their predominance. Provide triggers for evolution. I'm curious. You said she says, I have been to South Africa 7 times and follow its politics very closely. I'm just curious, if you don't mind, how come South Africa 7 times? I'm just curious. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 4. This guy always makes me cringe and chuckle at the same time. Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 says Tim Scott gives an enthusiastic endorsement for his overlord Donald Trump. You can't make this shit up. This comes with a link taking us to YouTube. We'll watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
Highly respected gentleman, and he's a wonderful friend. And remember, he's, I'm running against somebody from his state, so it's not that easy to do. I mean, she is running from the state of South Carolina, which, by the way, where I'm leading her by over 50 points, so I don't know what the hell kind of a job she did, but in South Carolina. But he's a senator from South Carolina. He's a fantastic man, Tim Scott.
Oh, New Hampshire! Oh, yeah. Let me see. Is this Donald Trump country? Oh, yeah. That's it. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Thank you. Let me say, we need a president who will close our southern border today. We need Donald Trump. We need a president. We need a president who will unite our country. We need Donald Trump. We need a president who will protect your Social Security and my mama's Social Security. We need Donald Trump. We need a president today who will stop the crime and recklessness in the streets. We need a president who will restore law and order. We need Donald Trump. Oh, we need a president who will lower our taxes and not raise our taxes. We need a president like Donald Trump. We need a president who understands the American people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. We need a president our foreign adversaries are afraid of and our allies respect. We need, you see, we need a president who doesn't see black or white. We see a president who sees Americans as one American family. We need. And that's why I came to the very warm state of New Hampshire to endorse the next president of these United States, President Donald Trump.
Thank you, Tim. That's great.
Thank you, Tim. That's great. That's so embarrassing. Like many of you have said, he sounds like I was just about to say that, only he sounds like he's calling a goddamn match, that he's setting up a fight between Tyree Pride and Kevin Sullivan or something like that back in the day. It's just god awful. Yeah, see, a lot of y'all didn't particularly care for that prompt. Provide Trigger said the reason why she has gone to SA 7 times, South Africa 7 times, because she has friends there. So I appreciate that response. Who do I begin with here? You know what? Let me start with Black Steel. Black Steel, you and I share the same sentiment. Do you want to expand on it?
Well, what can I say that hasn't already been said already? Well, he's endorsing Trump as he's a Black Republican. I think he's one of the few Black Republican senators. Let's be honest. This guy is not for Black people. He's talking about, he's really regurgitating the Republican talking points about border security and all the other bull crap, and that's not really the issues that are. The problem is this. I can't think of the cracker. I think it might have been Winston Churchill. He said, "You can always count on Americans to do the right thing after they've tried everything else." But I want to say that the problems of this country are not because of illegal immigration or insecure border, because the country's not united. It goes deeper than that. This country is ruled by a corrupt oligarchy that really wants to reduce the average American to a fucking peasant, a serf. And they're not going to say anything about the real problem because they're in bed with the rich corporations. They don't want, they're the ones who pay their salaries. So the needs of the everyday person in this country just aren't going to be met if you're going to stick by the two-party duopoly, Republicans or Democrats. They're both two wings on the same racist bird. Let's just keep it honest. The only difference is that the Republicans are just more honest when they're in their intentions. The Democrats like to couch behind flowery language, and then when they get in office, they do the same shit that the Republicans do. And for example, everyone talked about how those poor children were in cages at the border when Trump was president. Now Biden's in office, and the kids are still in cages. In fact, there's more deportations under Biden than there's been under Trump. People look at that. Then not only that, they see the inflation that's been going on. Now, that in this country that makes it harder for people to live. Taxes, everything, the cost of everything is skyrocketing. And people are looking back and saying, well, you know what? Things were better for me under Trump. Were they really? Trump was, a lot of the shit that's going on as a byproduct of the shit Trump is doing. But I don't want to get too much into politics. But anyways, I'm not surprised with this. We've always had Black people who saw their interests align with that of the white majority. And that's always been the case. Even during slavery, you had Black people who would betray slaves who wanted to run away, or slaves were planning a slave revolt because they knew they could get ahead. They didn't mind throwing the rest of their people under the bus, and that continues to this day. So I'm not shocked by Tim Scott. He's an embarrassment, and no Black person takes this guy seriously. I don't think there's any I mean, there probably are. But I mean, the majority of black people look at this man, they look at this dude and say, this dude's a clown. He's a joke. We don't take him seriously. Fuck him. Fuck his mama. And most black people feel that way. What do you feel about majority of black people who toe this party line, who regurgitate these white supremacist talking points? That's how we mostly feel. So he has no standing amongst black people. But white people, one thing white people love, they love to see a black person say the shit they say. And that way they can hold him up. Well, he's one of the good ones. What we're saying isn't racist. Look at this guy. Look at the Jesse Lee Petersons. Look at the Charleston Whites. Look at the Tim Scotts of the world. You know, these people don't mind selling out their race for some white, white penis or whatever. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for letting me talk.
Appreciate it. Let's hear from Kofi. Kofi, what say you?
Forgive me if I'll be a little bit long-winded because I'm very passionate about this. I am into politics a lot. So yeah, I pretty much share the same sentiment as you and the other brother was here. So I was going to address certain things like that he said, which is an obvious lie, and it's basically always a Republican talking point. So he's going to mention open borders. What's the open border? They like to say that, because Joe Biden, right? And it's basically an admission with Republicans. And Republicans don't like brown people and black people because they know once they get here, we treat them like shit, and people don't directly treat them like shit would be the Democrats. So from the outset, they got to just treat black and brown people bad. So they're going to say, well, of course, Joe Biden has an open border. So basically saying there's no ICE and there's no border control. When I talk to Republicans at home, I'm like, I said, you're obviously just lying. So that's something that that is a Republican talking point that Tim Scott says. He says protect Social Security. Republicans were trying to get rid of Social Security. Unanimously, they were trying to get rid of Social Security. It was only the Democrats who were trying to keep Social Security. So that's another lie that he told. He also says lower taxes. They did not. Donald Trump added to the deficit because he gave all those tax cuts to the rich, being himself. He's kind of rich. He's sort of rich. He's in a tax bracket where we could call him rich. He's not a billionaire, but he's in a tax bracket of where you say, okay, he is rich, right? So he gave all tax cuts to the rich. He didn't, because they have this thing where they think, well, when Donald Trump first ran, he was like, well, I'm not a populist. I'm not a politician. I'm just a businessman. Knowing the United States is all about business. But anyway, and when he said he's going to drain a swamp, when all he did was fill his cabinet with swamp monsters, right? Steve Mnuchin, he hired nothing but Wall Street people in there. Rex Tillerson, all he hired was Wall Street people, and he added to the deficit because he was not lowering taxes. He lowered taxes for the rich, right? And he gave tax breaks to the rich, right? So the next thing Tim Scott lied about when he says, which is a doozy, Donald Trump does not see color. Come on now. I'm not going to waste too much time on that. I'm just going to say that his latest racist rant was him saying that Africans is poisoning the blood of America, and then he said along with China. And then him and Mitch McConnell are like good friends, but him and Mitch, because you got to understand the Republican Party, you have regular Republicans, and then you have MAGA, right? And if you're not a MAGA, they call you're really a rhino, you're really an undercover Democrat or whatever, this, that, and the other. But now that him and Mitch McConnell don't get along, now he's calling Mitch McConnell's wife, which is Chinese, calling her China loving wife and all these racial slurs. So what does Tim Scott mean when he says that Donald Trump does not see race, he just sees Americans? I don't. These people are delusional, and the worst thing about people that are delusional, they believe in their delusion. So Tim Scott is pretty much, like the other brother said, is pretty much a disgrace. Black people really don't take him seriously unless you're a black conservative, and there's a lot of black conservatives out there. They're sadly peddling this nonsense, and it's easily debunked. But Tim Scott is a disgrace. And I'll pretty much leave it up there because I could go on forever. Thank you.
No, thanks for that. That's what I like. I like that kind of insight, man. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry. One other thing. The other brother, I want to address one thing the brother said about inflation. The brother came on before me. Yeah, inflation is not really happening right now. The stock market are making benchmarks, and as far as reaching as the stock market is doing well, the economy is doing well. You guys could Google it yourselves. It's the age of information. Unemployment rate is at an all-time low, and the market is doing very well as far as this answer, because he said that inflation is horrible. Inflation didn't really hit as they predicted. That's about it. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. With that said, I know this brother here didn't want to address it, but Jose, what say you about it?
Translating from Dutch to English, and I can't find the word, but I notice that that politics is touched. Well, what I think that I'm looking at is that typical thing, especially when it's this type of buffoonery or buffoonery in general. We are cheered, and as the fact as with the vacuum of attention or recognition, we go where we are cheered, and be it multimillionaire that this guy is, or be it a husky type out of the ghetto, we're with the buffoonery, or why? Because we're not there to be the buffoon. No, we're there to be cheered on, to receive recognition. So, and that's what I think that I see. I don't need to touch politics, or if he's a donkey or an elephant or whatever. I look at us, and I see a pattern. I recognize. I think I recognize a pattern, and just that's just it. So let me pass the mic.
Appreciate that, Jose. Oni, you've heard it. What others had to say. What say you about it?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. Although obviously this guy clearly, clearly he's dick riding. I don't know if y'all remember that. What was it, the Boondocks, where it was everybody was dick riding Obama. I think it was a song, dick riding.
Yeah,
Obama.
I remember that. Yeah, it's Boondocks.
Yeah,
Right.
the dude's clearly dick riding Trump. But I'm gonna say this though. We gotta also realize that this is the job interview. I don't know if because as far as I understand, Trump had like an all-white candidate. I'm not sure though. I'm not positive. But basically this guy is trying to be in the cabinet if Trump wins. And so what he's doing is
Trump had Carson with him too. He had a black guy in there. Yeah, he had a black guy.
Oh, Ben Carson. Yeah, exactly. So he knew that Trump, needs a token black guy, or Trump wants a token black guy, and he's doing the token dance. But I gotta be honest, if y'all ever found the interview I did, the recording of the interview I did for my job, right? I wasn't cooning, but you could see, I took down my RBG flag, I I have the RBG flag in the background talking about, could you hire me for this job? I had to move it, to the side for a bit. I'm not proud of it, but I think
bro, that's not cooning, bro. What you were doing, if you weren't throwing black people under the bus, you weren't cooning. Because same thing, I'll do the same thing. I got my job now. I got my RBG boy in my office, and I'm a manager, and no one can't say shit. But you ain't cooning as long as you're not throwing black people under the bus. You good?
No, I feel you. No, I wasn't throwing black people on the bus, but I feel like if I'm taking out my own flag, that's a little bit of cooning. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate you saying it's not. But yeah, I was also like, because it's like a math job, so I had my Einstein book. I was like, this general relativity book was really inspiring. I never read that book. You know what I'm saying? I didn't read the book, but you had to tell these white folk, I like her, y'all are some good side, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get it. Now, y'all see, now, did I pull out my Marcus Garvey? Like, yo, make sure you get me. No, I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? I had to, so I think what he's doing, even though it is embarrassing, even though it's dick riding, like, this guy's going for a job. I can't remember if Ben Carson was like, he had some position. You're right. He had some official business, but this guy's apparently he's a senator, and you don't know it too. But like, even if he doesn't get a job, if he's a senator in good favor with the president of the United States, like he could possibly get some legal shit done. So it's embarrassing, sure, but at the end of the day, it's like if this was your profession, you have to you like this profession, politicians, especially in America, the whole thing is to just bend over for white businessmen. True. You know what I mean? True. So it just seems like you don't usually do it on camera, but the dude came out chucking and jiving. I get it, but if Trump wins, we'll see in a few months, 6 months, maybe more. But if Trump wins, and we see that he announces his cabinet and Ben Carson's up there. I mean, Tim Scott, my fault. You know what I'm saying, right? And Tim Scott is up there. We're gonna say, well, that goofy dancing worked out for him, And of course, and of course, we're gonna sit back again like black folk. I don't want to say like black folk. We're gonna sit down again like black folk and not get anything from either president, because after putting Biden into office, after Trump lost, after putting Biden into office, you would think, okay, y'all got some real returns because you done got rid of the Trump for them. I mean, here in New York, people was like hype. He was hype that Trump didn't get reelected, right? You would think black folk would have got something from that. No, nope. You ain't getting no damn thing. You better put Biden back in office. That's it.
Oh, so I mean, look, you from New York too, brother?
The dude's interviewing, good for him, right? But
all these brothers, Kofi, all these brothers from New York. I mean, the majority. You are New York, and most of these brothers are New Yorkers and fellow Tethers as well. So I mean, that go out I go. That go out I go. I'll leave it. I'll just leave
it. All right, cool. Thanks, bro.
Only when you done making your point there?
Oh yeah, I was finished. I missed what Warner was saying. What was Warner saying?
Don't worry about it. Kofi is a tether from Guyana, so he's a fellow tether. But needless to say, let me say this. I am saying that Tim Scott and Jim Clyburn, what's the difference? Tim, hold on. Now excuse my ignorance from I'm not in America, so excuse my ignorance. I'm just saying that Tim Scott is from South Carolina. South Carolina has a very large population of black folks. He has not made it to become a senator of South Carolina without getting their endorsement and support. So to suggest that he is just this outside anomaly, that nobody really pays attention to, I don't think that he would have gotten that position solely by white votes alone. Obviously, there's a large swath of black people in South Carolina who believes in some of the things and ideas that Tim Scott has, else he would not necessarily be a senator in South Carolina. That's the first thing.
I will push back on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's all right. No worries. Let me finish. The second thing is that I'm asking Jim Clyburn, who's also in South Carolina, Geechee, all these Geechee things I hear from time to time, what's the difference? He had Joe Biden and the black churches in South Carolina promoting Jim Biden, promoting Joe Biden. Joe Biden is, we say in the Caribbean, Peter ain't different than Paul. Peter is no different than Paul. We had this discussion before, Kofi, in terms of what Joe Biden's record is, in terms of doing what he did and the criminal crime bill. I hope you look that up, by the way, because he is the architect of that. But if you say that this guy is cooning for Donald Trump, you can't forget Jim Clyburn. So I'm saying, what's the difference The both of these are Black American citizens. People say they singing for the supper. But what's the
Jim
difference?
Clyburn's a Republican too. He's not a Democrat.
No, Jim Clyburn is a Democrat, brethren.
Oh, my bad. I'm thinking on the other guy. My bad.
Yeah. So I'm asking, what's the difference? What's the difference? As your brothers are American citizens, I'm asking, what's the difference? What's the difference? They are supporting their political affiliations as American citizens. Now, y'all call them what y'all wish, but don't they have a right? I'm just saying, I'm apolitical. Don't they have a right to associate themselves with any political affiliation that is advantageous to themselves while living in America, despite the fact that they are Black people? I'm just asking the question. But
It's a real question or is it rhetorical?
It's a question. It's a question for your brothers who y'all New Yorkers. Y'all know better than I do. So I'm asking, what's the difference?
All right. So the difference is number one is that Joe Clyburn didn't debase himself as a man in order to do this. 1, 2, it's the party affiliation that we have. Like I said before, Trump is a very well-known racist, doubles down on it till this very day. So with all that being said, right, to still attach to yourself to a person that's a pedophile, a crook, a racist, someone who says I shouldn't follow the Constitution, someone that said I want to be a dictator, and all these other things, it's deplorable for anybody, Black or white, but especially Black in this situation, to align themselves with them saying, well, this person endorsed this person, saying this person is the right person for the job. The reason why people voted for Joe Biden, right, like the brother said over there, because you think everything is going to be good. The only thing I'll push back on is that people wanted regular political normancy. You know, Republicans being kind of racist, but at least principled and at least try to follow the rule of law, versus Donald Trump, who says I should not follow the rule of law. I should be able to kill my political opponents if I want to, right? To get his own fight. He's signed up for a job with his last vice president that said, you know what, I'm going to follow the Constitution. And Donald Trump said he's going to kill him. Donald Trump had his supporters say, kill Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. Those are the stark light years difference between Tim Scott supporting Donald Trump versus Joe Clyburn saying, hey, I endorse Jim Crow Joe that Joe Biden and all the Republicans and all the Democrats did like 30, 40 years ago. That's the difference.
What it seems to me is that the Democratic Party have convinced your brothers that there's a such thing as a little bit pregnant. There's no such thing as a little bit. I'm gonna break it. No, I'm gonna break it now. There's no such thing as a little bit racist, and I'm explaining it. You say that Donald Trump.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
But let me finish. Let me explain it. You say that Donald Trump has did the scurrilous things, the skullduggeries that he did against Black people. And like I say, we had this conversation before. You can't deny the fact that Joe Biden was the architect of the crime bill.
Yes, I did.
So I'm saying.
Deny that by the proof, what I showed you.
But he is the architect of that. He is the architect of that.
There was the crime bill, like I said before. The crime bill is a bipartisan bill that.
No, but he created the bill, Kofi. He created the bill, Kofi.
Signed on. So you have to figure out all of the government. Those people are still alive in government today. So basically, all those people will have to be thrown out. That's what you're saying.
No, Kofi. I'm saying that he created the bill himself. I'm saying he dropped.
Not.
Yes, he did,
He was
brother.
a part of it. No, he did not.
Okay. No worries. I'm saying that if he was very integral, because you say he didn't want to create, he was very integral in creating the bill, and that bill affected Black families and communities in a very dramatic way. I'm saying to you, you cannot discount the fact that yes, Donald Trump has said some things that has been detrimental to Black people, in particular the Central Five or whatever. But I'm saying that this guy, Joe Biden, has done something, has been integral in something that has affected the Black communities for generations. When you see black men being in prison for 30 years off a marijuana violation. Now marijuana is legal. What is the effect of that in black communities in America? So I'm saying that Peter is not better than Paul, brother. He's not better than Paul. So even though this guy is endorsing Donald Trump, a Jim Clyburn for me is doing more damage because you call him Jim Crow Joe. Could you imagine you calling him Jim Crow Joe, but you would still say that this guy is a better candidate?
I'm saying that because that's how you guys would say to them. And thing I don't understand. I understand your position, but then you lose me on your position. You're saying no race is greater than the other. So it's like saying not again. I'm not saying that Joe Biden is a reformed racist. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying, you judge a man by his actions, right? That's what you're doing. You're saying Joe Biden did this, right?
Yes.
And Donald Trump didn't do anything, right?
Yes.
I am saying is that Joe Biden, and we had this conversation before, and I brought this before, since it was a unanimous decision that everybody was on board, even black people during that time wanted, because what you're doing is talking in hindsight.
They was wrong. The black folks was wrong.
No, you're talking in hindsight. Again, I told you I'm of age. I was like 10 in my teenage years growing up when this happened. When everybody wanted something to be done, black people as a whole, because black people, remember, we're talking in hindsight. When the crack epidemic hit and everything, the Republicans, everyone knows that it's on the books. Ronald Reagan put drugs in the neighborhood. If you listen to black drug dealers like on Freeway Rick and all this stuff, they'll see many people I know. They said they'll see the drugs being talked about. Cops will be right there. They will do nothing. Again, we're talking in hindsight. So when the crime bill, when something was done, and people was like, wait a minute, we kind of get something done, but something's kind of fishy here. Why is my father? I have a friend that I grew up with. His father was addicted to crack. He was like, wow. Only help they gave him was a jail cell. That's the only help he gave him. They said, no, he wants to get off of it. We need help. They gave him a jail cell. So in hindsight, he was like, wait, where are all the black men? All the black men are being locked up. Then people realized, wait, this crime bill went too fast. This crime bill is doing more damage. You know what I'm saying? It's doing more harm, right? And then we found out, like I told you before, that wait. So this is supposed to be all about drugs. So why is crack cocaine, which is demographically more a black drug that black people do, you get more time for a little itty bitty for a couple rocks, and for a white person, when they do their designer drugs and their cocaine, they need a whole fucking desk full like Tony Montana. They get any time. Then we realize it was like, wait, this is detrimental, right? Again, not saying what Joe Biden doesn't have a racist history. Joe Biden is a right. He's more of a right Democrat. He's more of right of the Democratic Party. He leans more right when it comes to Republicans. But to say that Joe Biden did that, right? And he had 4 years like every other politician, right? Every other president, including Obama, that did nothing for black people is equal to Donald Trump, who wanted to bring the death penalty back for 5 black men that New York doesn't even have the death penalty. But no, I want the death penalty to kill these black men, even after they've been exonerated with DNA evidence, and continuously to say racist shit over and over again. I don't want to kill you with all the racist thing that Donald Trump has said, along top doing nothing for black people. How is that even?
Kofi, you're making my point. You're making my point because what you're saying is that Donald Trump spoke on behalf of the Central Park Five in terms of giving them the death penalty. I am talking about Joe Biden actively sending thousands of fathers to jail off of crimes committed in the 80s and 90s who's still languishing in jail. And he was the president. He had the ability to rectify, because you mentioned hindsight.
He was not
so
the
he
president.
He is currently the president. I'm saying that he has the ability to rectify the past situation that he's gotten wrong. because you mentioned
Mhm.
hindsight. He has not done that yet. He's not.
Oh yeah,
Donald Trump.
yeah. That's true.
So,
Neither has
Donald Trump. No,
any
no, no,
politician.
no. Wait, wait a minute. Donald Trump has released people off. We talked about, like I said, we talked
He
about this.
released a
Donald
bunch of
Trump.
niggas who a bunch
Nah,
of celebrity niggas who didn't do anything. What are you talking about?
Sophie. He's released more than
Obama
this.
did the same thing.
Nah,
Obama released a little bit of people also
Obama ain't released nobody.
that was
He ain't
on
released no one.
support. Huh?
Obama didn't release anyone. He didn't
Yes,
release
he did.
anyone.
Yes, he
Nah.
did.
Okay,
We all
all right.
can look it up. We all can
All
look it
right.
up.
Well, like I said, I'll leave it to my my test of ignorance. Y'all brothers know better than I do. I would just leave it there.
If I can say one thing, and I'll make this really quick. So, what I understand the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats is really this. You guys know I teach world history with the kids. We're talking about Napoleon. So, Napoleon talked about he was a silk glove on an iron fist, right? The Democrats are the silk glove over the iron fist. The Republicans are just the iron fist, you know? So even while we have a Democratic president, the United States is currently supplying weapons to commit genocide against the Palestinians. That's why we call him Genocide Joe. That's why he's been getting booed, and that's why he's gonna lose the election, because people are just sick of him. So whereas the Republicans, they're just out front with it. You know, the Democrats, they say, the platitudes, and we want a two-state solution, and we want all Americans to be inclusive, and they know it's bullshit. The Republicans are just out in your face with it, and just they say they feed the red meat to their base, whereas the Democrats, they're a bit more tactful in their words. That's what I would really say the main difference is. Ultimately, many of their policies go to enrich the 1% and deprive the American people of their liberties, and to spread U.S. imperialism across the globe. That's one thing you always will see bipartisan support for, is the military. There's never a problem. But even recently, when the United States Congress was against giving more weapons to Israel, President Joe Biden, a Democrat, overrode Congress through a loophole and sent more weapons to drop on children in the Gaza Strip. So, again, I understand both of y'all points, but I just look at it as that the Democrats tend to be a little bit more tactful. They tend to be a little bit more by the book. The Republicans, they make no pretense of being by the book. When they get in control, it's going to be straight, fuck you, pay me type of attitude. We're going to do what we want, and we don't really care what the rules are. With the Democrats, at least they have the pretense of following the rules, but ultimately they both serve the same masters.
No, I totally agree with you 100%. I want to push back on anything that you're saying. As far as the whole Israel,
then Israelis got him. Mossad got you. You all right? Okay, I thought Mossad had got you.
Yeah,
sorry,
and
Mossad.
As soon as he said Israel, it was it.
Yeah,
Sophie,
and
you
then
there?
I'm here.
Go ahead.
And then they asked Muhammad Ali, "Do you want to be president?" Muhammad Ali said, "Oh no, I don't want to be president." Why? Because what's the job? The job as an American president since 1948 was to protect Israel as an ally, as a Western ally in the Middle East. So no matter what president you are, look, Donald Trump almost started World War III twice, right? When he went against Congress and to kill Soleimani, the general in Iraq, and when he moved the embassy, right, and say, no, Israel, you're a real state, I'm gonna move the embassy. Like that almost started what Hamas could have started the shit going on earlier that happened now, right? Trump went to no U.S. president would have did that because they got fucking sense. Because like, why we're gonna start agitating things in the Middle East and stuff like that? But Trump did it. Biden is also doing like what the brother said. Because why? Because it's American policy to do that. You're going to say, oh, we're going to do a two-state solution while we're still giving Israel billions and billions of dollars to commit genocide. And Obama, right? And wow, it's one thing Trump is not innocent of, but due to people in his cabinet that was competent. But Obama and Biden has blood in their hands. I don't understand how Obama has a Nobel Peace Prize and he has blood in his hand doing drone strikes in Africa and in the Middle East. But what the brother, what you said is absolutely right. I'm just saying when it comes, it doesn't matter what president is in there because it's U.S. policy to support Israel no matter what.
Let's hear from Anthony McPhail. I think he was the forgotten one before Bono went. Anthony, what are your thoughts on Tim Scott?
Oh man, we got all grievances, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like I mean, I agree, man. Jim Clapper, he the same person. He just the one for the Democratic Party. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, it's just like, remember what Brother Malcolm had said about the Democrats and the Republicans? One is a fox and one is a wolf. But they both canines. They both got the same appetite. It is, one of them say things this way and one of them say things this way. But neither, as far as African people concerned, ain't neither one of them for us, in our interest. But yeah, man, you get into the politics, man. You can get into some mess. But yeah, man, I mean, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. A house slave gonna do what a house slave got to do. To be in his master's favor. To be in his master's favor. You know what I'm saying? I'll leave it at that, man.
I appreciate that. I didn't want to forget Anthony in that discussion. For time's sake, because we are running up against the clock, let's move on to Shoot the Breeze topic number 5. This should be a good one. So for all you HBCU fans, you should really.
Oh God, you're gonna summon the spirit of Bakari. You rubbing that magic lamp, that genie's gonna pop out.
Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 tonight says billionaire businesswoman Ronda Stryker decides to grant $100 million to Spellman University, an HBCU in Atlanta, Georgia. This, of course, comes with a link. I believe it takes us to YouTube. It does. We'll watch it, and then we'll discuss.
Tonight, a historic announcement for students at Spellman College. Campus leaders announcing a record-breaking $100 million gift.
The announcement coming on the same day as an important milestone for the college. 11 Alive's own Spellman grad, KWAZ Belger, explains how this money will benefit future Spellman women.
Today, we are making history. Our long-serving board trustee, Ronda Stryker, and her husband, William Johnson, have decided to donate to Spellman College $100 million.
It's the largest single donation to a historically Black college in history.
First thing that went through my mind was definitely the financial support, the scholarships.
The gift, Zoe Shepard says, is life-changing for her and her Spellman sisters.
It's just an amazing feeling to know that that's going to be available for more people in the future. And even for the amazing people that I know today, that there's support for them as well.
The announcement was made early Thursday morning during a special event on campus. The day also marks the 100th anniversary of the school receiving its name.
Spellman started because of a philanthropic investment like this. And so I think it's really nice to see how far Spellman has come and then to think about how Spellman can go.
The money will be allocated to address a variety of financial needs. $75 million will go to endowed scholarships for students. The other $25 million set aside for other initiatives, including upgrading the freshman dorms.
Our campus is historic, and a lot of our dorms are old. And because of that, air conditioning is an issue. So we have 2 dorms specifically that we will start with.
Spellman College Board of Trustees Chair Lovette Russell says it will make a lasting change for years to come.
It will say to other people, Spellman is a place to be, and it's a place that produces really great women, and it's a place that you should look at investing your money in.
KWAZ Belger, 11 Alive News.
That really is transformative money. Yeah. I know that so many people will enjoy being debt-free. Or at least less debt coming out of college. And that really is amazing for students starting their journeys.
And like you
said, or like she said, 25 million to go to different things around campus, like that air conditioning. We've been talking about that for a long time here. So
for years. So I know a lot of incoming students will be glad, and parents will be
right,
happy
nice and
to hear
breezy in the
about some of
dorms.
those. Yeah.
Nice and breezy in the dorms. Okay. That's a nice. It's a historically black college university. $100 million. I have to let them know that HVAC problem will probably eat most of that money up. Believe it or not. But that's cool. That's real cool. With that said, let me mix it up this time. Let me start with Kofi. Kofi, what say you to billionaire businesswoman Ronda Stryker giving $100 million to Spellman University?
I've heard of this, and I was like, well, that's very good. My first thing I was very suspicious about, I was like, wow, that's going to be a big tax write-off for them. I was thinking that first. But now looking at this, you can see what I put, well, in the private chat. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did it says this money will we go towards women, black women?
Yes.
Yeah, Spellman's a women's college. I think it's all just for women.
Oh, so that makes sense. Now, so I don't like speculating. I hate speculating, but on its face, it's a very good donation. It's just funny why just a women's college and not a college that's all inclusive for black men and women. So already it has to me it has a little gender bias. As we know, there are some, as all people, black people, we have our own trouble and struggles, but for us it's very serious as far as like black men and black women, getting along. Again, I don't want to like speculate, but I personally wish it was more towards a college that was for black men and women. I again, on its face, it looks good. I mean, I accept it. I'm not telling it to send it back, but I find it very curious. Why not a black college where there's men and women? So I don't know if it's going to start the floodgates or anything. I don't know. Again, I don't want to speculate, but I have nothing else to say until I know further. I'll pass the mic.
Well, let me just say that wasn't the private chat.
I'll add this. Yeah, that wasn't a private chat. That was on YouTube.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good. I'll add this. This is this is who Ronda Stryker is. So
white woman.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's the person who donated it.
Yeah,
she's
that's
her husband. Her husband is white.
Yeah, I didn't realize that at first. So Real Black Gentleman in the chat asks, who is Stryker? That's who Ronda Stryker is, a white woman who gave that donation. So just so you know. So that was Kofi. Let me hear from Jose.
Yes, sir. I was already suspicious. I believe Guana Guziki mentioned it in a show before, and I was surprised that he was cheering it. My first reaction was, what's behind it? What is she buying? Because the sponsor decides, right? So here's the answer. It's probably a feminist thing. I don't know. I got my answer. I was wondering what's behind it, and I think from this video I got my answer. And I'm glad about our Democratic brother, because the gender fluidity and the toxic feminism is strong with the Democrats. I just wanted to put that in the air. Thanks.
Are you talking to me? Is that in reference to me or?
Yes, yes. I'm very positive about your reaction, because black boys are put in the shadow. In here in the Netherlands, in Europe, it's the same thing. I practically dedicated my life to boys like me in the streets for lack of self value in the house, in the home.
Well, I commend you for that. That's very good. Me, I'm a father. I have 5 children. I have 2 girls and 3 boys. But what I'm gonna say is about towards that comment. See, the thing is, with people who get like right wing propaganda and stuff like that, you have to understand the Democrats and the Republicans. If you want to be the Democrats, is all inclusive, which makes sense. They want everybody to be a part of their group because they want votes. So they have to make accommodations for the people. Versus the Republicans, right? If you're not a white person, you will have to debase yourself or your identity. So if you're a black man like Tim Scott, you got to debase yourself. If you're gay, you got to debase yourself. Talk bad about gay people. If you're Asian, you got to talk bad about Asians, so on, and so forth. So I would say, me as a black man, I'm very conservative when it comes to the family and things like that, right? But I understand politically that these people need representation. We live in a government, we live in a society, and these societies, if you don't like these people or not, are made up of people that you may not like or agree with, but they're still a part of your society. So to ostracize those people politically and financially makes no sense. But I do understand what you're saying. I don't want to take up too much time. Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate that. Yeah, so when you have these donations from these types of folks, you at a institution, while I'm happy that there's that infusion of funds, you do have to wonder, like Jose and I think Kofi was saying, but Jose definitely, you do have to wonder is what is it that you're purchasing? And oftentimes that's something to do with miseducation in these cases. So that's the thing to keep an eye on. Or it could be, as Kofi said, fueling the gender war among black people. You know, you gave $100 million to the women, but what about the men's counterpart school to Spellman too? So I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts on this. So let's go through it. I heard from Kofi, heard from Jose. Let me hear from Oni next. Oni, what say you?
Yeah, I was kind of cool with it until they said it was two shows a white woman. That's crazy. Like what was her reasoning for putting $100 million to black women's college? You know, yeah, I did say Spellman girls looking good. They was though, right? I mean, all right, it's surprising.
Yeah.
You know, just a lot of good looking women back to back. It was kind of random. You know, you don't usually get that. You know, I need to go down south again, but but yeah, I mean, it's a little suspicious, but you know, I mean, I think we should examine what the donation, like what were the strings for the donation, you know, because, and that's another thing too, you know, a lot of times it's like he who plays the piper chooses the tune, you know. I don't know if this woman is trying to push some gender studies stuff. You know, I don't know if this woman is trying to push some transgender stuff. You know, I could say when I was in college, because I went to a HWCU, historically white college, right? When I was in college, you know, I you know, it was an easy A. I took some of these women's studies courses or whatever, and yeah, like they was really trying to push some propaganda. You know, they were really trying to push some propaganda, and they were asking for advice on how to up the propaganda. Right? We you know, we have to take this you know, I would just want to see what the strings look like. You know, what does the receipt look like? If it's $100 million and you could put an all-black agenda or whatever, that's fine. But it don't seem like it's that. Now, if it's $100 million to repair the air conditioning, okay, I mean, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? like, I mean, obviously, hopefully they employ some black folk with that $100 million. But a lot of times, and we gotta be hip to this. A lot of times, the money comes with strings. And I could say this because I think there was another university. Temple University. I think the president or something like that. He was like in bed with the Democrats, kind of low key, right? But like big time. And that's a thing. No, not the president, the head of the Black Studies Department, something like that. But that's a thing where sometimes you got to be in bed with somebody before they give you the money, and I mean, fine, that makes some sense in some capacity, but I'll just say I want to see what the strings look like, because if it's just good, better air conditioning, that's cool, like let those women, they look hot, you know what I'm saying? let them get some air, but if it's hey, up the feminism, up the white women, up the thing, that's where it's a problem. But we'll see.
Yeah, we love to see. Black Steel in the chat say, God loves, man kills. Great story. Black Steel, what else you want to add to this prompt?
I'm gonna be optimistic, man. I don't want Bacardi to come here and jump down my throat. I'm kind of scared, but yeah, I'm gonna be optimistic. Let's say, and I didn't realize she was a white one. I thought she was really light skinned. A lot of times those sororities and whatnot, they tend to have a big colorism problem in those sororities. But oh damn, okay, yeah. And she's an alumni. Hold on, I didn't get a good look. Okay, she's an alumni. So
this dude, he would have fell for that. What's that lady's name?
Rachel Dolezal.
He would have fell for Rachel Dolezal. She's light skinned. Oh, gritted ass white woman. You crazy, man.
But yeah, apparently this woman was an alumni of Spellman. So here we have white people attending historically black colleges and universities. It happens. It happens all the time.
It says here she went to Western Michigan University of Northern Colorado.
So what makes her want to donate to a historically black college? I'm curious. What's the motivation? I mean, I'm happy that the sisters got the money for their school. That's all well and good, but I wonder what's making them want to. What would make? Oh, I want to donate all this money to the black. Why not donate to her alma mater? Why not do it for them? I'm just a little perplexed by that. But like you were saying, if it's gonna fix the problems with the school and help go towards some tuition, I think that's a great thing. There has always been a gender gap when it comes to education in the black community. Black women usually tend to be more degreed than black men, although black men make more money than black women. Amazingly, black women usually tend to have more education than black men. So that's kind of been a thing for a really long time. And now I think it's the case for other races too. So black people were the beginning of that, but I think that's happened, especially with like white people. You have more white women getting degrees than white men, but white men still make more money than white women. So, okay, but we're off on a tangent. But let me just say this: I think I would want to see again what's coming with this money. What do you have to do to earn this money? But on the face of it, I think it's a good thing. I've seen some of those dorm rooms when I have friends who went to University of South Florida, and some of those dorm rooms are kind of a little rough. So if and I know they had issues at Bethune-Cookman, at Howard, at FAMU, and a lot of these black colleges that they had issues with keeping student housing up, making sure that the kids have enough. They're being fed properly. These are real issues that I think these students are having. So I'm I'm not opposed to it if it's really gonna help. But again, let's keep an eye on that. Let's see, is it to fix the facilities? What curriculum are you wanting to teach? Are we gonna have we have to do a critical analysis of the color purple? That type of bullshit. We don't need that. Let's keep black men and women together. I don't know if that's her goal, but it's just something to keep an eye on. I hope for the best. I'm gonna be optimistic.
Yeah, we should all hope for the best. It's just history. History really repeats itself, so we kind of have an idea where this usually goes. Let's hear from Anthony McPhail. Anthony, what say you?
Yeah, man, I'm like, congratulations to Spellman. They probably needed that money, but
right,
yeah, they probably needed it. But it's like what that you remember that it's that term that you and Buona used to use. I can't think of it. The barrel maker. Yeah, the barrel maker.
Yeah.
That y'all remember that term, the barrel maker? I mean, when the barrel maker give you some money, man, it'd be some funny money sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I think we ought to just keep our eyes open to see, like, in the future, do they have some kind of, what is her name is, the white woman's name?
Ronda Stryker.
Okay, Ronda Stryker. Let's see, like, in the future, do it be a Ronda Stryker chair at Spellman University? You know what I'm saying? They named something, they named something in her honor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like to push one of the little propaganda agenda or something. But yeah, man, I mean, congratulations on the money, man. But when the devil give you something, man, that money be funny, man. I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. Marcus Garvey is the Wiz out there in the chat. She promised last week she'll be with us earlier, but she didn't show up earlier. But she says good night. She says all the black billionaires and no one could donate. That's an interesting comment too. With that said, I think I got everyone except Buona. Buona, what say you to all of it?
Yes, sir. So first, let me answer Marcus Garvey's Dewey question. There's a man named Robert F. Smith. Robert F. Smith would have probably donated maybe like around $30 million to Morehouse for the graduating students to clear off the debt. Now, Morehouse is a HBCU as well, but it's a male college. It's a male college. I think that it's a sister school. It's a brother university to Spellman in Atlanta, I think. So when he did that, he cleared off a lot of the debt for the graduating students up to $34 million. That's a lot of money because he's a black billionaire, even though he's married to a white woman. No, that's a whole other discussion. So this lady, who's a white billionaire, decides to clear off the debt. A female student. I am saying, and maybe it's my skeptical mind, but no one is gonna donate $100 million without some kind of return on that money. Me personally. Now this could be a completely philanthropic effort. She wanted to help black schools, even though she's also on the board of Harvard as well. Because I look up these people, and I try to find out who's who. So she's on the board of Harvard as well, and she's on the board of this historically black college. I'm asking why. What's her corporation? What is she into? Who does she hire? I try to discover the backgrounds of these people when they give these so-called gifts. Because I want to know what's coming in the future. How will she train and indoctrinate? Because my niece is about to go to school, in a little bit of time. So I want to know what outcome will I receive in the future coming, because when she gives these $100 million gifts, I am saying that there's a reciprocal nature to the scenario, because I ain't gonna just give you my money for nothing. I want to produce a crop of students or a mindset or a group of women in a particular way and manner, especially when I sit on the board. That means I determine in curriculums and shit like that. So I know what the outcome of the future will be in terms of the women that that my nephew will have to encounter in the future going forward, and what they will have to contend with. So I do take Black Steel's philosophy. I do want to think positively about it. However, as a realistic person, I am concerned about the outcomes of the situation, because like you say, Robert F. Smith gave 34 million to a historically Black college with males, because you don't want to just educate a crop of women without them having someone that's comparative. You have these highly educated females with no Black male person to date, marry, and have a relationship with in the future. So now they're looking for someone that's compatible to them. Who is going to be compatible to them with that level of education and sophistication? White men, because they have the monies to be able to compete in that level. Unless you raising a crop of Black men who are comparative. This is how a real game is played. This is the reason why I say war sometimes is not only fought with a bullet. Sometimes it's fought with a check on a donation, and I that's the level that I want to fight the war on. That's the level where I am. I want to be able to contribute in these kinds of levels. I must be able to get in these kinds of arenas, because they are fighting an economic war, whether we recognize it or not. I don't know who Ronda Stryker is. I don't think that white folks are so philanthropic, but they just want to give to a Black university, especially when you're sitting on the board of Harvard. What is your interest? What is your interest? Why didn't you donate to a Chinese community or Asian or Indian community? Why do you go on is this your thing of appeasement where you're trying to give back your reparations in another kind of way? I don't know you. You have to find out who you are. So like I say, these are the different kinds of wars that's being fought. You have ideological wars, you have physical wars that's fought in the street, and then you have these economic wars that's fought in the university. Because these people are conditioning the minds of thousands of Black women who we're gonna eventually have to coalesce with, date, marry, and have relationships with in the future. How is that gonna look? Because these people, $100 million, you are determining the policy or what is taught in these universities going forward. That's very important. Very important. But I'll leave it there. Just as a side note, I'll just leave it there.
Can I add a little something to what he just said? This is my brother. I'm not an anniversary. He invited me to this chat. So hope anyone misconstrue that me and him.
Go ahead, Kofi, man. Go in. No worries,
this guy's
brother.
my
No
brother.
worries.
No, I'm not disagreeing with what you said. What you're saying is 100%. But I think you mentioned something that that I kind of wanted to just piggyback on. So what you said is like they're only educating the women, and when these women graduate and they get into the world and they're looking for a partner, right? And they say, well, you know what, Black man, I have a PhD, all you have is a bachelor's, right? That is a problem all in itself for women to think like that. Now, I'm not a big Kevin Samuels fan or anything like that, but that's what they will call pretty much a modern woman. We all know, I don't know what the consensus of the men are in here. A man shouldn't care. A woman shouldn't care that, well, what makes me valuable as a woman is the amount of education that I have. Me personally, as a man, I don't look as that's a make it or break it thing. Sweetheart, you could have an associate's as long as you know how to treat me good, to treat me well, right? If we're on the same economic level and education level, that's good too. But a man does not look at a woman in a way that, well, she's not on my level. I have a doctorate. All she has is a bachelor's. That's insane. A woman shouldn't be seen, well, this Black man is not on my level because he is not on my educational level. I'm not saying that's not someone will think like that. I'm not saying certain men won't be intimidated by that. I know some men that are intimidated by women who make a little bit more money. That is a thing. But a woman shouldn't be, I don't believe in generals or anything like that, but a woman shouldn't be like, well, you're a man and you should be able to provide for me, but I make more money than you, so you're not on my level. That makes no sense. That, you know, that's not what a woman's supposed to be bringing to the table. We heard things where you ask a woman, what are you bringing to the table? And she says, I am the table. All types of nonsense like that. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to say, because what you're saying is absolutely right. But women in general, especially Black women, especially with this whole gender thing, a woman should not be out after she graduates and say, well, oh, this guy, oh, he got everything going with him. He's handsome, he's responsible and stuff like that. But girl, oh my gosh, he's a plumber. That's insane. But I'll pass the mic back.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said there. I think for the most part, I mean, with some exceptions, men more so care about how a woman's gonna treat them. They ain't really sitting up. Now we'll cheer you on. We'll be at the graduation when you graduate. We'll cheer you on, but we ain't really tripping on how much degrees you have and stuff. How do you treat us? How do you make us feel in those intimate moments and stuff like that? The person
the men are not thinking that cool. The men are not thinking that cool, but the women are. The women are being bred to think like that, brother.
No, I'm not saying that they're not.
I get it. I agree. I get it. But what I'm trying to say is we don't look at it like that, but they do. And that's the shame of it, is what Kofi is saying. Now, this is the guy I wanted to hear from. I guess he heard us mention his name. Let's welcome in Brother Bakari this week. Bakari, how are you this week?
I'm good, man. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Bakari. Yes, we can, brother. Nice hearing you. Haven't heard from you in a while.
What's going on? Y'all talking about that white woman? Because I'm gonna be honest, I've been in and out. I ain't really been listening. I've been a little busy. Y'all talking about that white woman that gave $100 million to Spellman? I say use their ass. I say use them. See, it don't bother me. Use them. If they want to give you $100 million, take it and use it for you want to use it for. That's my thing. She's
supporting Black business. She's supporting Black business.
Wait a minute. Spellman is a private school, so she can't come down and I'm gonna take your curriculum. We have to. I'm trying. Look, my Bible told me I got to learn to talk nice, right? I don't want to upset nobody, but we have to stop standing, in all honesty, my opinion, as Black men, in a position of weakness all the time, worried about what other people are planning. Newsflash: Black people have a brain. They can be planning. We can be planning too. Shit, I wish somebody give me $100 million right now. You know somebody got it? Let them donate it to me. Use them. Use them. Everything. Sometime I'm gonna go back to football season when everybody was laughing about the white girl that kicked the field goal at Jackson State. We look at the surface of things. We don't know how to dig deeper. I told my partners, I said it on here. I told my boy Rev, I was like, dude, you use this. You want NIL deals for these young men? Use this. She made a field goal. 2 weeks later, ESPN went down and did a special on her. Lo and behold, about 10 players on Jackson State football team ended up with NIL deals, CVS, Kroger, Walgreens. You have to learn to use them too. You can't always be scared. We can't be so scared that white people gonna just outsmart you at every turn. I know they supreme. I know y'all. I know a lot of people call them white supremacists. I call that a Black inferiority complex. I'm for calling them supreme. I know y'all think they supreme and they got this big mega brain, and whatever they do, they just gonna outthank you. No. Sometimes let's just use their ass. They done used us all these years. Do you think when them Black folks go play football at Alabama, and Alabama making all that money off Black folk, do you think they sitting around wondering what are Black people gonna get? No, let's use this for our good. Now, the second thing I'm gonna talk about, I don't have them problem with women. I don't know about y'all. I ain't never had no problem with no one agree. I don't know how the ways. I ain't never had that problem. Well, woman thinks she better because she got a degree. I have never, ever, me personally, I can't speak on nobody else. I ain't never had that problem. I'm not intimidated by my women. I want her to have a degree if it's gonna get her more money. I ain't never, shit, I told you, my wife doubled the amount of money that I made. The last woman I was working with, a PhD. Dude, I don't concern myself with that. because I know I'm good at what I do, and I'm a man. I don't care how much money they make. I don't care how many degrees they got. I'm a damn man regardless. And you know what they see when they see me? That I'm the man. So I'm just saying, so it's just a couple, like, I don't worry about that when it comes to women. I'm just being honest. I don't. That's all I got to say about that. Thank you for letting me speak.
But Bakari, we said the same thing. We said that we as men don't care about women's degrees. So we actually said the same thing. Just to be
what I'm
clear,
saying is, I don't care about the woman thinking about that. I don't care. Like, I've never had a problem with a woman thinking about that, is what I'm saying. I have never ran across that. I'm being honest. I have never run across a woman want to talk about her degree and her money she make. I'm just being honest. Never. I don't know. Maybe it could be because my conversation is well equipped. I don't know. But I have never, and that's my personal experience. Maybe I just hadn't met that woman that would throw it in your face. But I have never.
Yeah, I think because we're older too, Bakari. We're older men too. It's a little bit different, but from what I see out here now, that comes up now. It might not happen to you, and to be honest, it hasn't really happened to me. It hasn't been in my face anyway, but it happens out here today. But thanks for your contribution, and you're right. Use the money. I ain't gonna say don't take it. Shit, if I could get 100 million, give it to me too. But history shows that these things come with some strings attached, and history also shows, honestly, that we kind of agree to the strings too. We kind of take the money knowing that there's some miseducation that's going to come with it, etc. So I just want to put that out there. But does anyone else want to add any last thoughts, anything Bakari said or anyone said on the panel?
Yes, I know this prompt is specifically for Brother Bakari, because I know this would trigger him to come. I know this would trigger him to come on, right?
To the flame, bro, like moths to the flame.
I know he was listening to the channel all night, right? But I know this specifically would trigger him to come on. But I appreciate, I love when Brother Bakari comes on. He has a valuable contribution to make. He's doing something that I think is very important in establishing Black businesses. But this is really, really me just trying to trigger him, because I know this really would. But I'll just leave it there.
Well,
Bawana, I'm telling you, Bawana, I really wasn't listening. I'm telling you, I'm still out right now. I really wasn't. I listened for like a couple minutes. I'm out. I really wasn't listening. I just got to a point where I'm by myself now where I can listen. But I'm out right now.
Well,
go ahead, Kofi.
No one is saying or implying that white people are supreme. When we
Is Kofi's cutting in and out?
Yeah, coming in and out.
Yeah, Kofi, you're cutting in and out there.
Yeah, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know why I keep cutting in and out. Damn.
Try talk about Israel, brother. That's Mossad. I stay on your ass.
Damn.
All right, cool.
You can't talk about it. You just can't talk about it.
They won't let me talk. Damn. I don't know what's up, man. Something's crazy.
You know what's up.
So when we use the term white supremacy, we're not saying or acknowledging that white people are better than us, Brother Bakari. What we're saying, that's their state of mind, right? You could say that's someone's state of mind without saying that they're better than you. So when we say white supremacy, we say these people have a godlike complex, whatever that there's good. We're not agreeing with that. We're just saying that's their mentality, and knowing these people have this particular mindset, you have to be aware. because again, what we're saying, we don't want to make sure it's something that they're manipulating us into doing. Like, I don't know, they changed the curriculum, or there's some caveats and strings to attach, but it's like, oh, whatever, $100 million is good. We don't know. We're not speculating. We're not trying not to speculate into something that's not true. We don't know. We will have to see. But if anyone knows history, like we're saying, we need to keep an eye on this and see that if it's a really genuine contribution. That's all that we're saying. And if it is, good. But they need to be aware of that. And we're curious if it is a genuine contribution. That's it.
I got you. But what I'm saying is, right, sometimes, like I said, it ain't got, Donald Trump can give me $100 million right now, right? I ain't worried about what they think. I know what I'm going to do. My personal opinion, I believe we worry about white people and them feeling that they are supreme, since I don't even use the term white supremacy because I don't believe in it. I think black people preach it so much that they do believe in white supremacy. I don't. So I don't even use the term, period. I would just say it for this conversation. But because I would never say that. But I can't worry about what they want to do at all times. Sometimes I got to sit back and think of my plan. And if I can finagle some money out of them, I'm going to finagle the money out of them. But some of those universities are already like working together. You can find like Brown, one of them Ivy League school named Brown. I want to say they work with Tougaloo College. It's already certain like scientific programs and stuff that they already do together. That a lot of these schools already do together anyway. So I don't know, but I'm just saying, you know, shit. I believe I'm gonna say black supremacy because I believe we can outthink them. We just need the right people. We just need the right people to be in charge. That's my thing. I don't always think about what they're gonna do. I sometimes I use my from this man's military when I was in. Sometimes I use their mindset. We were never even when they were talking about going to Kuwait, and I didn't go. When they was out there training for war, we were never taught. Not one time would they tell us what the other people is gonna do. We would always say what we are gonna do, and we feel we're more dominant, and that's what we're gonna do. And that could be me having that type of mentality from the way I was raised, then seeing how they do stuff, because I was a part of it. But I promise you, not one time were we told, well, you know, the Kuwaitis and the Iraqis and the Afghans got this. No, this is what we got, and we're gonna go there and we're gonna destroy their ass. That's really, I wouldn't do that. About that. So for me, I don't always, when I see something, I'm not just always talking about them. My focus is us. My focus ain't them. Not saying they ain't trying something, but they can be trying. But while they strategizing and while they thinking, we need to be focused on what are black people thinking. What are we? I heard this guy. I cannot remember his name, but if I can remember his name, I'm gonna find him. But he was doing a lecture, and he said, and this is a black millionaire, multi-millionaire, and he was talking. I want to say he's in New Orleans. He was in these meetings, and he said it was one thing he learned once he made money. He said we talk about white people all the time, but whenever he's in their meetings, we ain't ever discussed. It's always they know what they are going to do, and that's what's more important to them. Just like when I said in the military, what they are going to do is way more important. What they feel they have and what they feel they can do is way more important than what they feel the next people have. And that's what we going, and that's my mindset. That's how I see it. What I have, what we gonna do is way more important than when we talking about what we gonna do. I don't give a damn about white people strategizing, and that's everybody who ain't black is white. So that's just that's my personal opinion. I'm just saying how I see, how I move, and what worked for me.
Well, that's the show for tonight. I really do want to thank everyone who was here. Before you guys jump off the panel, I'd like to ask you guys to give a shout out. It could be something personal, or something you saw in the Black world that's positive. Give a shout out. Let me start with Black Steel.
So I want to shout out, rest in peace to our brother Carl Weathers. He passed away suddenly.
Man. Yeah, I hated that.
Yeah, I remember the first time I remember seeing him as Apollo Creed and Rocky. He was recently on The Mandalorian. He's just been in a lot of stuff. And he passed away in his sleep. I think he was 76. But Action Jackson, and he was just that dude, man. He was just that guy. And it's just the world is a smaller place without. I usually don't go hard for celebrities, but somehow this kind of fucked with me. He was in Predator, and my son, he's 20, he's 19, he'll be 20 next week, but he loves Rocky. That's like one of his favorite movies is Rocky, but he always liked Apollo Creed for some reason. So when I told him, he said Apollo Creed died, he's like, what? He was shocked. And I didn't realize, how popular this guy was. He got another. He was in the Star Wars show, The Mandalorian, and he was I think he was just a good dude. He really loved his kids. It seemed like such a loss, but I just want to shout him out, man. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
Absolutely, yeah. Action Jackson was my show when I was a kid back home back in the day. So yeah, I appreciate that, Black Steel, and of course, thanks for coming through. Oni, you want to shout anything out this week?
Damn. Oh yeah. Matter of fact, like I keep saying, I might say it every week, but Burkina Faso doing big things still. I think they were trying to do
nuclear,
get some nuclear energy, and they also broke away from KWAZ, I think.
Yeah,
I think
they
KWAZ.
did.
Yeah, so it's like shout out to my brothers from other mothers. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the land of the upright men. Burkina Faso. They doing it. I guess doing it right. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Yeah, like LL. All right. Thank you. Make sure you guys subscribe to and tune into Oni's show, The Pro Black Perspective, 11 a.m. on Sundays, Eastern Standard Time. Anthony, what you want to shout out this week, brother?
Man, he just took my hand away from me, man. I was going to shout out Burkina Faso. Yeah, man, I was going to shout out Burkina Faso, man, and all of the great things they're doing, man. About that process and that plan that they just created, man. And the good thing about it, they said that they was calling on other African nations to bring their waste there, and they'll help, so they can process it there, and renew it there. So, man, that's a great thing, man, and that's pretty much it, man. Great show tonight, man. Great show.
Appreciate you being here and helping it to make it great. I also think Burkina Faso is setting up a gold standard too. I think I saw something with them with the gold mines and creating gold bars and stuff by the end of the year and stuff like that. So that's cool too. Buana, what you want to shout out this week?
I'm listening to the brothers, and you have a lot of black fathers in the room tonight. So shout out to the black fathers, the black dads who making a valuable contribution to the next generation. From Oni to my brother Kofi, and you yourself, and Black Steel as well. Mentioning that he's training the next generation to appreciate black men like Carl Weathers, who just passed. And my brother Wakari, even though I trigger him tonight, I'm gonna get a lecture on that all week next week. But all the black fathers who making valuable contributions, shout out to y'all brothers, man. Y'all doing a yeoman's job, and it's interesting that black fathers are attracted to this panel for some particular reason, because they sense a sense of brotherhood and camaraderie in coming here every week. So shout out to y'all brothers and doing your thing, But I'll leave it there.
Yeah, but who invited Blank Tutor?
Appreciate you, Buana. And I also appreciate you for inviting guys like Kofi. In fact, speaking of Kofi, what you want to shout out this week?
Yeah, thank you, Buana. Thank you. He invited me here, and I'm glad that he did. Thank you for that shout out. Basically nothing, just anyone who's shout out to the people who's promoting Black History Month. and Black history in its entirety, from Africa to present day. That is real Black history. So I'll shout out to anyone that's doing that, putting videos talking about that. Even though it's Black history all year, shout out to people that's doing that. That's really basically about it. I enjoyed the panel. I enjoyed the discussion. I enjoyed everybody here on the panel. It's good to hear Brother Bakari. You know, I haven't heard Brother Bakari in a minute. He probably forgot me, but I haven't heard Brother Bakari in a minute. And again, you know, you guys, I also have a YouTube channel. You guys are welcome to check it out and stuff like that. I have similar conversations like this, but I do look forward to every Saturday to chat with brothers like you. I really do appreciate it. And peace to everybody.
Hey, what's the name of the show?
It's Kofi the Black Critic. So I'll put it in. I'll put the link in the chat.
You might not be able to put it in the private chat, and I'll copy it into the regular chat. But yeah, Kofi came up. His name is in the chat too. So if you click on it, right there, he made that comment about the gender war. If you click on that, you could follow him there too. I'll definitely follow as well right after I'm done here. Thank you, Kofi. Kofi, every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right.
I got you. Thank you for having me.
If you have time, yeah. Joseph, you still there? You still eating?
I'm finishing rolling a joint at this moment, so I wasn't eating. I was licking. But
well, that could be the same thing in some cases. But go ahead, continue.
Don't leave that gate open no more.
I'm alone at home. I'm home alone. But coincidentally, today I saw somebody on X tag the brother Traore. So I'm following him since this morning. But that's Burkina Faso. I want to shout out to my old man. Today he would have been 86 years old. And a shout out to the show. You know, Kofi the Critic. I believe you're doing it a long time, right?
Yes. We met on Dynas's channel and on so-called Pan-Africanism Strikes Back channel. So we spoke before.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know you were a Democrat, but I know you're cool, man. You're cool.
I'm more of an independent, pretty much.
Yes.
I'm left of the Democratic Party. So if it was me, I want Cornel West to be president.
That's true. From here in the Netherlands, there's no socialism in the United States. Absolutely not. You know, there's no Democrats. And compared to the Netherlands, you are all Republicans. You are all to the right of whatever that is in the Netherlands.
Yeah, but the Netherlands is very well as far as like their healthcare and stuff like that. That's socialistic program that they have.
Yeah, not anymore. About 18 years. No. That's 20 years ago. Before that, if you earned below 55,000 guilders, then you would pay something like 25 guilders, and people above that would have to take a private insurance. Nowadays, if you're a billionaire or if you're on a welfare check, you pay the same.
Oh wow! I didn't know that it was happening in the Netherlands. I didn't know that.
It's getting tight. It's getting tight for a long time now. Babylon is falling very slow, but maybe soon quickly.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, y'all. I'll put the thing in the chat. Thank you all. I appreciate it. The wife is waiting, so I gotta go.
Yes. Thanks, y'all. Thanks.
Hey, Kofi, before you go, Kofi, are you Ashanti, Kofi?
Am I what?
You Ashanti?
No. I use the word Kofi because I'm from Guyana, and Kofi was one of the liberators of Guyana.
Oh, okay. I just wondering because Kofi, that's Ashanti for born on Friday.
So if you
that's my That's my name. I've been indoctrinated into that tribe too. So I got friends that are Shanti. That's how I know that. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Your name is Mapongo. Your name is Sekema, and then your name is Ntudumele. So how you get the name Kofi? Where you get that from?
Who, me?
Well, you ain't gonna ever be around me, but when I'm with my friends from Ghana, so I don't normally say I have Igbo name
How you
too.
know I can be around? I come with that lot. How you know I can be around you? I can be right around you.
Look, hey, I have an Igbo name too, Ikena. I have a Wolof name too, Alu Badada. These the people I deal with, so everywhere I go, I just have a different name. I wear many faces.
Okay. Well, I mean, for that's why I named myself Kofi. So
don't get yourself in trouble. Don't get yourself in trouble. Bakari, what you want to shout out? I know you've been doing the black business stuff a couple of times this week. What do you want to shout out this week?
Support black businesses. That's what I'm shouting out. I'm shouting out black business. Excuse me. I'm shouting out black businesses. Let's come together. Let's support black business. Let's come together. Let's create more. Let's create more black businesses. And I'm shouting out any black person that's standing firm and strong and willing to fight the fight.
Absolutely. Well done. Thanks to all
and
of
by
you.
the way, I'm shouting out your channel for every Saturday. You let people like Black Steel and Bawana come on here, man. They should be praising you. Because man, won't nobody else let them talk, man.
Nah, I consider all y'all my peoples, man. So I appreciate
they know I'm just clowning.
Yeah, I know. Afro Native World says yes, Black History Month. That's a shout out. We'll be honoring Nana Carter G. Woodson for what he founded. Remember, this was a self-determined black action, not given to us by others. So I think that's the best final word tonight. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, I'll see you guys. I'll be able to hang with you guys next week as well. Until then, you guys check out all the other shows on KWAZ Radio. And until next week, you guys be good. I'll see y'all. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.